California has turned on the sunshine and the Verizon IndyCar Series has turned on the show. It is Championship Day at Sonoma Raceway in Northern California, where everyone is asking who's going to win this thing. Just who will be the 2017 IndyCar champion? And the driver that grabs the title will have their name proudly displayed and engraved on the Astor Cup alongside legends of open-wheel racing from the US and around the motorsport world. The contenders are some of the best the sport has seen. Will Power, the 2014 champ, is a long shot, but still a contender, and he has the honor of taking the championship if he can beat his teammates and another challenger. Speaking of teammates, there's Simon Pagenaud. He has that easy calm about him, doesn't he? Could he go back-to-back is a question that has to be answered as well. And again, just one of the throng of Penske teammates. We go to Helio Castroneves, who's been waiting 20 years to get a championship. This may very well be his final IndyCar race. Could he do it at the last attempt? It's exciting. And taking on the Penske Strong is Ganassi's sole championship contender, Scott Dixon. He's a 4-time champion. He's trying to make it 5. And at the opposite end of the spectrum is young American superstar Joseph Newgarden. He leads the championship. He starts from the pole position, and he may just be a champion at the end of 200 miles today. So the championship positions look like this. Joseph Newgarden did have a 3-point lead, got the bonus point for the Verizon P1 Pole Award yesterday, and that stretches it out to 4. That's important. We'll talk about that throughout today's broadcast. Castroneves is 23 back, Pagenaud 35 back, and you see the others. Now, Alexander Rossi is still mathematically in this, but it is an extreme long shot. There are so many possibilities to this championship. What if this driver finishes here and that driver finishes there? We're going to try and simplify it for you. If Joseph Newgarden wins or finishes better than all championship contenders, he is the champion. And by the way, if it does get forced to a tiebreaker scenario, Joseph would win on all tiebreaker situations, wins, second places, etc. And we will keep you up to speed with Scott Dixon, with Helio Castroneves, with Will Power and Simon Pagenaud as well. And if you're looking for the Team 4-pack, there it is. Team Penske owns the opening 2 rows. This year's Indy 500 champion Takuma Sato qualified well, and contender Scott Dixon starts from row 3. But we go right to the top. We talk about Joseph Newgarden, and we join Kevin Lee.
Lee, Joseph Newgarden added a point to his championship lead, +4 now. The guys that you're fighting against all have either won a championship or been in the fight many times. What advantage or disadvantage does that give you?
Well, I think I have the advantage of belief. I believe we can do it for sure. We just got to treat it as a normal race. Try and do what we've done all year. We've tried to make fast cars. We try to make good decisions at every race and try and win every race. So we're going to do the same thing here. It's not going to be easy. As you stated, we're going up against a lot of champions. I know another couple good race teams aside from our own. So there's nothing given here. We're going to have to go take it, in my opinion, and we're going to try and put a great race together for Team Penske and everyone at home and Verizon.
You seem so calm. Tell me, how are the emotions?
Hey, I'm trying my best to think of it as a normal day, a normal race. It's a tough thing. I mean, when you know you're in it and you know you have an opportunity, it definitely adds pressure. But you just got to think of it as another day, another race from earlier in the year, and try and treat it that way. Not let it get too bigged up in your head. I think that can change the way you attack or the way you approach the race. So I'm trying to treat it like any other day.
That's Joseph Newgarden. Katie.
Walking with Scott Dixon and his wife, Emma Davies Dixon. Scott has been in this championship hunt 8 times and come out the champion 4 times. Scott, how does this year compare to the rest of years you've been in the hunt?
They're all very different. I guess it depends a lot on the points and basically the tracks have all been different throughout the years too. But yeah, this one's definitely very tough. I think we've definitely got our work cut out for us today. Hopefully, conditions are going to be tough, but hopefully we're going to have a good car on the long run. But yeah, with Penske's up front, will be interesting.
What's the advantage you have over Team Penske?
I'm not sure we have, an advantage. It will just be, the fact of trying to eliminate all the small mistakes and trying to have a clean race. I think if we have a clean race, we can have a fair fight. We will probably have a good shot at trying to win.
And he'll try to fight them off from 6th today.
And what a day for Helio Castroneves, making his way to the car. Helio, 20 years you've been trying. How big of a moment is this, and how aggressive do you get?
Well, it's another big moment for sure. We, as you said, we've been in many situations like this. Everything I tried in the past obviously didn't work, so we're going to try something different. But it's a great moment, obviously. The car was great this morning. The Hitachi Chevy was really, really strong. And, well, you got to be aggressive when we got to be aggressive. You got to use our, strategy when we need it. So it's not the race. It's not right on the first lap, obviously, but it's in the end of it. So I'm really excited. I just ready. So tighten your belts, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
It will be a lot of fun. Castro Neves only 22 points away from earning his first championship.
Thanks, John. Willpower starts second. Okay, a lot of perks driving for Team Penske. Private plane, best cars, best engineers. But is the biggest perk being able to race your teammates as hard as you can?
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic to be given cars that win week in, week out, and you can race your teammates who also have the best cars. But yeah, I mean, it's just all of that. All of that is just a fantastic situation to be able to race.
Simon starts third, 34 points out, but today you have 3 teammates or you have 3 rivals?
Well, I guess, it's a tough situation to be in. You're racing your teammates. You can't do anything crazy with your teammate because obviously there's a championship on the line for the team, and Dixon's in the picture, so you got to be very clever about all these components and factors. But personally, I think we're going to have to do something a little special today to get luck on our side and maybe put it off. But we have a great car. I would say all 4 cars are quite similar, and I think we can maybe put it off. But we're going to need maybe a little bit of lady luck with us today.
All right, Lee, they're starting second and third, and they're hunting the championship.
Robin, thanks very much. It's going to be a great day. Hi, folks. Lee Diffie along with Paul Tracy, Townsend Bell, champions in their own right, ready to go here on Championship Sunday. Townsend, I want to start with you. Who deserves to win this championship, but who is going to win this championship?
Well, I picked Joseph Newgarden at the start of the season, and I think he will win this championship, and I think he deserves to win this championship. People say he's got $1 million smile. He's been Penske perfect all year. I think he's a $5 million talent. The only thing that makes me nervous is that Team Penske, 6 out of the last 8 seasons, they've been leading in the championship deep into the season, only to lose it in the end. They've won 2 out of the last 3, but in 2015, it was Will Power and Juan Pablo Montoya that got together to give Scott Dixon the championship against very improbable odds. So my pick is still Newgarden, but I'm a little nervous about it.
Paul, you're very well credentialed to talk about this. A champion yourself, and you drove for Team Penske. How's this going to play out today?
You've got 2 guys up front that have won championships, 3 with Will Power. He's a little bit further out of it, but 2 guys that haven't won championships. I agree with Townsend. I think right now the edge goes to Newgarden, but you can never, ever, ever count out Scott Dixon and Chip Ganassi Racing.
By the way, he just agreed with you for the record. By the way, what are we going to see today? So you've said who's going to win and who deserves to win, but how is this going to play out, and how the eventual winner, how are they going to get it done?
Today, you're going to see no holds barred, flat out racing all day. Whoever wins is going to win this championship.
I think turn 1 is going to tell us a lot on the start. How do the 4 Penskes work together or race each other? Because they know if I get to the front early, then the team is likely going to help make sure that I win the championship. So turn 1 is very important to watch.
By the way, there are also 4 Ganassi cars. One of them is Scott Dixon in the championship hunt, but the other 3 Ganassi cars have not been close enough to the front. But maybe, just maybe, they may be able to do something with strategy to help their man out. It's all going to happen here, Northern California, Sonoma Raceway. When we come back, it's Championship Sunday. Let's go. What a beautiful picture. Sonoma Raceway hosting the championship finale as we welcome you to NBCSN's coverage of the 17th and final round of the Verizon IndyCar Series. It is the GoPro Be a Hero Grand Prix of Sonoma on a beautiful Northern California afternoon, just over 70 degrees, and it is perfect, really perfect, to go racing for 85 laps around Sonoma Raceway, just over 200 miles to decide this championship. And you know that when you are crowned an IndyCar champion, you've done it all on ovals, all different kinds of size, and you've done it on street courses and road courses as well to be crowned the ultimate champion, and just moments away. For now, we head trackside for the command.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in all of sports. From the NBA champion, Golden State Warriors, please welcome today's Grand Marshal, Klay Thompson, as he gives the command to start the engines.
Drivers, start your engines.
Just walking around the paddock around about 45 minutes ago. There is a special feeling here at Sonoma because it's not that often that you have this many drivers in contention for a championship. It's what makes this championship what it is. And folks, for the 12th year in succession, the championship gets decided at the last possible opportunity.
Been a terrific season, very, very tight from start to finish. I've never seen it this competitive in IndyCar.
To Kevin Lee.
For the pace laps here, just a moment from now, he has been trying to make this as much of a normal race day as possible, and the team has cleared quite a bit of his schedule. He says, yeah, I feel pretty good, but I have eaten a whole lot. The last thing he did before he put his helmet on, he greeted and embraced his girlfriend Ashley, his mom, and his sister all around him, saying Joseph is nonplussed, he is calm, he is ready for the biggest race day of his life. Katie?
They call Scott Dixon the Iceman for a reason, not just his performance on the track, but off too. He has dealt with the demands of being in this championship hunt 4 other times, and I think really that's his main advantage. And I've been with the 9 team all weekend long. Not only is Scott calm, but so is everyone else. They've done this before, so when the green flag drops, it's just one big exhale and get to work, business as usual. Jan?
And Katie, speaking of calm, even Helio Castroneves was surprised how well he slept last night. Of course, he has been recovering from illness after evacuating from Hurricane Irma, but said, I was surprised after chasing a championship for over 2 years, I didn't toss and turn. I feel better, I'm refreshed, and I'm ready to go. Robin?
I've been covering this sport for almost 50 years, and I've watched A.J. Foyt and Mario battle for championships, Johnny Rutherford and Gordon Johncock, Al Unser Sr. and Jr. We've had some great champions, some great battles. Today we have a new kind of history. 4 teammates are battling for the championship along with Scott Dixon. And of course the storyline is Penske versus Ganassi. For the 9th time in 10 years, it's going to be a Penske or Ganassi driver that wins the championship. But think about this for just a second. Today, it's not going to be about Ganassi versus Penske. It's going to be about 5 of the best race drivers in the world going against each other, trying to kick each other's butt and win the championship the way it should be.
It's a thriller, Robin. It really is, as we've got drivers of all nationalities in contention. An American, a Brazilian, a New Zealander, an Australian. It's terrific, and a Frenchman. Paul, what you got? Who are you dialing up there on the line?
We're going to dial up Helio. Let's see if we can get him. Hey, Roger, I'm going to cut in on your man, Helio. Can you hear me? Well, it's been a fantastic season for you so far. You've been ultra fast, ultra quick, ultra aggressive on the opening laps, especially places like Toronto. What's your plan for the start?
Well, PT, first of all, it's great to be another opportunity here. Looking forward to a special race today, and well, right now we just gotta use our heads, and we do have an interesting situation here with the Reds, and well, we cannot win the race in the first lap, but certainly we can lose it, and we're gonna try everything we can to finish this race, and hopefully in the first position.
All right, good luck, my man. You're a champion.
20th year in open wheel racing for Helio Castroneves. Can it finish the way that he hoped, the way that he's been wanting it to for so many years? Time to take a look at Sonoma Raceway. Townsend, take us round.
Well, one of the most beautiful locations for a racetrack in the world, but turn one really challenges the driver because of the big uphill run and the massive compression under the bridge that the car sees. Then you go down to turn 7, a great passing zone because you're basically at the end of the drag strip, and then it's a really heavy braking zone all the way down to about 45 miles an hour. Turn 11, another great passing spot. The last corner on the track, many different lines. If you get side by side through there, you can fan way out as you come back on to the drag strip. But let's take a look at the starting grid. Once again, you called it the Penske 4-pack up front.
It is. They own the first 2 rows with Newgarden on the pole. And if you've just joined us, that was so important, folks, because this championship has been tied before and decided by tiebreakers. So 1 point is a big deal in the Verizon IndyCar Series, Paul, and Joseph Newgarden got that yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's going to be important for all these guys up front to have a good race, but watch out for the fuel strategies and guys like Bourdais that are mid-pack, Kanaan try to sneak a win. These guys are all concentrating on each other, and there could be a surprise winner today with guys that gamble.
One surprise I'm looking for, Castroneves, the first driver on reds, the only Penske driver on the softer compound. What can he do on the opening lap?
And remember what Joseph Newgarden told Kevin Lee at the top of the show. I've been trying to keep my emotions in check. I'm trying not to let it get away at me on the inside. I just want to get a clean start and try and get away with this. Will Power's got the same thing in mind. So too is Pagenaud and Castroneves and Dixon. It's the 17th and final race in the Verizon IndyCar Series. It's championship day. It's time to bring the action. Newgarden to the front. Nice clean start. Up to turn 2. This is a signature corner. There's trouble. Is there? There was a slight lock up there. Alexander Rossi got close to Scott Dixon.
Contact nose to tail in the back, but the story's up front. Castroneves challenging Pagenaud side by side. Castroneves wants this one.
Pagenaud comes back down the inside. Dixon looking for a way around, but those red tires come in fast. He's got to keep moving forward.
These are Andretti teammates. That's Takuma Sato. Sato, the wild thing in the dirt.
That was close. We're hearing a report that James Hinchcliffe may have left the track. So we'll follow up. There is Hinch.
He's way off the track. Whoa, it's all sideways, underray, dirt everywhere. The guy's on the wall.
Connor Daly with a forceful move on the inside. Up to turn 7. There's a little bit of contact there. What a wild opening lap.
Connor Daly driving for his future. Up for renewal with AJ Foyt next year, so Connor Daly's going for it on the opening lap. And these Andretti teammates, Hunter Ray and Marco Andretti.
Big cloud of dust, cars banging into each other. Everybody was slowing down.
Kanaan's in trouble, I think.
Kanaan has got bent suspension. Somebody hit him from behind. I think he's either got a flat tire.
And Kanaan, the teammate to Scott Dixon. That is a huge blow for Dixon. He needs Kanaan in this race to help support the championship fight. Kanaan's coming to pit lane.
There was a huge cloud of dust, and I think everybody had to back off, and everybody got stacked on top of each other, and then just carnage happened after that.
That's because Tony's tire was going down, and he was the one that ran off track to raise that dust. It was Jack Harvey who got into the back of it.
Tony Kanaan has had 3 races in a row, St. Louis, Watkins Glen, and also here at Sonoma with issues on the first lap.
Pagenaud just dropped the wheel off on the exit on that downhill, so you got to watch those exits. You get out in the dirt, you can cut a tire, get a flat. Very easy to do here.
Joseph Newgarden, Will Power, Helio Castroneves, Simon Pagenaud, Scott Dixon. The championship 5 are in the top 5.
Can't emphasize enough how big it was for Joseph Newgarden to get the jump on the start and make sure that he was the first guy to turn 1 for Team Penske. He didn't allow Will Power to have a nose. That's huge as this race is going to play out.
The big loser on the first lap was Sato, who started 5th and has now dropped to 8th. So he has gotten overhauled by all of his teammates on the first lap.
Castroneves on that softer compound all over the back of Power now. He knows that he needs to get by in the next 2 or 3 laps before the red tires start to fade.
I'll show you what happened to James Hinchcliffe on the opening lap.
Oh, it's almost like he got hit. He got hit by somebody.
Oh yeah, big time. He sort of left a half door open here.
This is the view from Jack Harvey. He sees his teammate.
Oh, I think it was the number 20 car of Spencer Pigot.
This is the Kanaan incident. Now his tire's already down. He's sitting center of track there, and Harvey gets hit
by DeMello.
By Zach Clayman DeMello.
And both those cars were just trying to avoid the unexpected slow car of Tony Kanaan.
Just looking at that, I don't actually think that Jack got into Tony.
Oh, Kanaan's got a flat right rear already.
Boy, just trying to stay out of trouble and trying to get his way back. Meanwhile, back to it. Live pictures. Scott Dixon trying to fend off the guy that he was chasing just a couple of weeks ago in Watkins Glen. That's Alexander Rossi. Meanwhile, the race leader, Joseph Newgarden, has more than a 1-second lead early on.
We've got 4 Chevys up front, followed by 3 or 4 Hondas all in a row. So slight gap from Pagano back to Dixon. Dixon has pressure from this man, Alexander Rossi. And Alexander Rossi, since Toronto, has just been coming on like gangbusters with speed, pace, and obviously winning races now.
And I think Scott Dixon could get a lot of trouble here from Alexander Rossi because mathematically he has a chance at the championship. It would take a total disaster in terms of very, very low probability situation of all 4 Penske's going out. But Rossi won the last race in Watkins Glen. As Paul said, he's come on incredibly strong, and the only thing Rossi cares about today is winning this race, has no concern for the championship whatsoever. He's a killer out there right now.
Can confirm that it was the 20, the Ed Carpenter Racing Chevrolet of Spencer Pigot, and race control were looking at Hinch and Spencer Pigot. They have made a decision just now, no further action.
Well, we know Joseph Newgarden wants to win this race, has to win this race, but he can't afford to burn too much fuel. When you have a guy like Will Power behind you that is so fast and so good at saving fuel, he's got to be careful that he can run the same amount of laps as Will Power or he'll get jumped in the pits.
Well, and a lot of these guys that have the softer red tires on to start the race, we think that they're likely to pit a little bit earlier than the guys on the black. So it's pretty wide fuel windows today. So if you're on the softer tire, the degradation is likely to start earlier, Jan Beekes, and you'll want to get off those tires and finish on the blacks.
Yes, Townsend, you and I both talked to many drivers who said they think the crossover point for red to black, meaning that these softer alternate red tires will start to give up their advantage maybe lap 5 or 6. That's when the primary black sidewall Firestones will then be more consistent and possibly a little faster on the track. So guys like Alexander Rossi here running on the reds need to make hay now and then try not to burn the rear tires off. And I believe that the Hondas are a little more kind to the rear tires than the Chevrolets and the Penske's. That might play to Scott Dixon and company as we move on.
And we talked about it at the start of the race. Elio Castroneves, the only car in the Penske stable that started on the softer compound. And I have to wonder, was that Elio's choice, or did the captain want to spread his chances and go with 2 different strategies?
And it's back-to-back years. You remember last year as well that the 3 team of Elio Castroneves went out of step, out on a different strategy.
Well, he certainly needed to have a big first lap, and he had a lot of pressure from his teammate Pagano. They raced side by side for 3 or 4 corners, so he needed to at least maintain that position or improve.
There you go, Firestone Tire Fact, fastest laps of the weekend. You can see what was done there in qualifying, what was done there by Simon Pagano as well on the different tyre compounds. And Firestone is the official tyre of the Verizon IndyCar Series. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone.
Right now the lap times are 19.1. Fastest lap right now is Newgarden at 19.1, 19.2 for Power. So fair ways off qualifying, but Sato running slow. Another flat tire. I'm telling you,
like right rear.
You drop wheels off on this track. It's rocky, it's dirty. You're going to cut a tire, so that's what you got to be careful of.
Was it a dropped wheel, or was it catching some of that debris that's still out on the track, though, PT?
Or was it fighting fiercely with a teammate, like we saw in the opening lap? And this is a very challenging and intimidating racetrack to get around with a flat right rear.
And it's going to come apart and start ripping the bodywork apart now as it's now rubbing all over the back of the bodywork. That will come apart and it starts shredding the car with it.
Your bodywork there, buddy. Watch your bodywork. Car's looking pretty bad.
When they say watch your bodywork, that means slow down. The slower you go, the less chance the tire's going to come apart, but it takes so long to get back to the pits.
It takes an incredible amount of discipline because you know you're under green flag conditions. You're losing a tremendous amount of track time. And the other risk is severing a right rear brake line, which takes a whole lot longer to deal with on pit lane than just a flat tire.
This is Takuma Sato's last race with Andretti Autosport. There'll be an announcement later this week of finally making it official. And he's off to Rahal Letterman Lanigan next year.
Very smart right there to get out of the way because other cars are coming and the leaders might come around soon. So very smart to get out of the way and not have to drive through that chicane.
He's going through right there in front of you, right there. Now it's clearing.
Not sure if that'll be a penalty or not for taking that shortcut, but that's a smart move.
Gets to the left-hand side of the track, which is, of course, pit entry. You can see it just ahead there. An agonizing lap for the Indy 500 champion who qualified so well yesterday and was up front fighting hard with teammate Alexander Rossi early on. The second puncture of this race. By the way, Tony Kanaan is all the way back in 18th now after his early woes. Joseph Newgarden with a 1.4 second lead as we head to the pits with Kevin.
Well, this issue for Takuma Sato also potentially plays into the favor of Joseph Newgarden. It is the tire that's going down, so Sato will crawl his way in. So at this point, he's very unlikely to be a factor in this race. He is pitted, though, right in front of Newgarden. And there you're looking at Matt Johnson, who is normally the crew chief and the outside front tire changer for Will Power. But Team Penske has decided Power is a long shot. We're putting the crew, most of them that won the Indianapolis 500 pit stop competition, the outside tire changers and the jack man, on the 2 team with Joseph Newgarden. So that change only happened today before the morning warm-up. And now if Sato is off sequence from everyone else, much more likely that Joseph Newgarden has an easy in the rest of the way in this race.
And I'll tell you what, Matt Johnson was a mechanic of mine when I drove for Roger 20 years ago. So he's been at Penske a long time. I tell you, I heard some guys were not very happy about being switched over onto a different crew. They want to support their man.
Well, there's that continuity thing, isn't there? There's that regularity thing about everybody being together, but it was a team decision. Newgarden comfortably out in front now, and he's increased it by almost half a second just over that last lap to 1.8 seconds, and he's also grabbed another bonus point for leading a lap. Newgarden, championship leader, race leader.
His head is like a computer. It's like a supercomputer. He's amazing how much he can think about, how much he can recall from a lap and put a lap together from his memory banks.
You know, Will just doesn't give up, and at the end of the year, you know, he tends to really come on strong. He's always fast here at Sonoma. You know, our crew never gives up.
I think the biggest thing Elio brings to the team is he's been doing it for so long, so he knows what a pole-winning car is supposed to feel like, and he knows what a race-winning car is supposed to feel like.
I think his fuel mileage is legendary, and he's just unflappable. The worse the car gets, the more he gets out of it.
The guy's just fast. He can extract the most out of a race car of anybody I've ever worked with, so it's a pleasure to work with him.
We thought it was a good idea on this championship Sunday to talk to the guys who are perhaps the closest to the drivers week in, week out, at the track, away from the track, talking about racing. Of course, a non-family member, and that is the race engineer. There is so much discussion that goes on between the driver and engineer. Just how close is it?
It's incredibly close, and what it gives the driver is trust, and trust yields confidence. When they say they've got a special set of match tires for the tunnel turn, you gotta believe it, Paul.
First car pitting, Simon Pagenaud coming in, but the relationship between a driver and engineer is like a marriage to your wife. You have to, at the end of the day, you're gonna fight, you're gonna argue over what you want on the car, but you have to come to some type of an agreement at the end of the day when you go to bed.
Nobody more experienced than you as Simon Pagenaud comes to pit lane. This is a bit of a surprise for him to come in lap 12. Red tires are going on, so he'll have to run a longer stint. I can only imagine maybe they're considering a four-stopper. Who knows?
Well, he's the first guy to go off strategy. We got a couple cars off strategy, but they were off strategy because of damage. Kanaan, Harvey, Hinchcliffe, DeMello, Sato, because of problems on track. So he's the first real runner that's gone off strategy.
Jan, that's lap 12. Do you think that Simon Pagenaud could actually make it on just 2 more stops?
Well, if you stop on lap 12, it means that you're going to fuel safe for the rest of the race, or you think there's going to be caution. Or the third possibility, of course, would be a 4-stop strategy, which you're stopping at lap 12. I think that's probably the play. Robin?
Kyle Moyer, team manager, said, hey, the car's fine, but we got to do something different because we're just going to sit here and run the same place all day. So we got to try and shake things up.
Well, if you got a fuel save to get to the end of the race with no yellow, that is going to really hamper your ability to pass guys and use push to pass.
Well, I say once again that Roger Penske, 4 horses in this race, and he's going to spread the odds, right? Give yourself an ability to win on 2 different strategies. You don't want to lose this championship because all 4 guys did the same thing.
Well, right now that gave this guy right here, Scott Dixon, more points. By pulling one of those cars out, it moved Dixon up more in the points.
Riding on board with Scott Dixon, and you can watch live in-car cameras only with IndyCar Mobile and only on Verizon. So, 2 of the 4 Penske cars going for something different, with Helio Castroneves starting on the alternate tyres. Simon Pagenaud coming in earlier than expected, but Ben Bretzman, who you just heard from in that package, his engineer, Pagenaud, and the team making that decision. So we'll see how that works out for them. What you got, Kev?
Well, as we start to think when people might be coming in, already some reports that the tires are starting to go away. It's by design. Firestone can make a tire that'll last forever, but it's better racing when they go away. And Alexander Rossi said that, yeah, about lap 10, they've already started to go a little bit. By the way, going back to Takuma Sato, he did make a little bit of contact with his teammate Alexander Rossi at the beginning of the race, but Ziggy Harkins just told me he thinks the tire came down later because of debris.
Spent a little bit of time with Takuma Sato earlier this weekend. He had a beautiful story. He said both here in the United States and when he goes home to Japan after winning the Indy 500, he'll quite often be in a restaurant and the waiter will just turn up with a glass of milk for him, even though he doesn't ask for it.
Lap times have dropped off now, Townsend. They were running 19.1s earlier in the run. Now they're 19.9 for Newgarden, but he's pulling away. Now he's got a 2.6 second lead, which is the biggest it's been over Power, who just ran a 20.4. So,
well, think about this. At the mid-120 lap time, that's almost 5 seconds off qualifying pace. That is a massive difference in not only the lap time, but in terms of the driving style. As we go back on board with Newgarden, let's just listen to how patient he has to be with applying the throttle, knowing that the rear tires are totally used at this point.
He's saving fuel because listen to him cut off the throttle here and coast. Coasting a long way into the corner before he starts downshifting. So he is saving fuel. Not doing big lap times, but he's saving fuel as well, which is good. It's good on your tires. And just listen here, coast up the hill.
Saving fuel gives you just more options as we get deeper into the race as well. Opens up some of the strategy possibilities. I'd have to say the balance looks exceptional, though. You don't see big corrections. He's floating big entry speed, which is sort of how you make up lap time when you're saving fuel.
It was one of the big questions in the 2016-17 off-season. Wow, how will Joseph Newgarden transition to Team Penske? What will it be like for this young man driving for one of the big teams? Well, he answered that emphatically. It's been a brilliant year.
And Scott Dixon had been losing a little bit of ground to the Team Penske cars, but it was just a routine stop for him, and they changed to the Firestone Blacks. Lee?
Katie, thank you very much. Welcome back, folks. Championship day, 16 laps of the 85 complete, racing lap 17. Scott Dixon back out on track after his first stop. Likewise, Alexander Rossi pitted while we're in the break.
4 guys, 4th place has pitted with Scott Dixon. Now Newgarden, Power, and Castroneves are in the danger zone if it goes yellow, Townsend.
They are. We understand that Alexander Rossi has an off-song engine note.
Next time we'll look at it.
That's Rob Edwards, Rossi's strategist, calling him to pit lane as Newgarden comes to get service. Lap 17.
We're going to see Joseph Newgarden, and we're also going to see Helio Castroneves take this opportunity to make the stop. For Helio Castroneves, it's going to be scuffed blacks that he'll exchange for these reds. Kevin?
Joseph Newgarden comes in and gets out on a great stop, 6.8 seconds. He goes from primary Firestones to another another set of scuff primary Firestones, and Newgarden wins this race off pit road for stop number 1.
Will Power stays ahead of Elio Castro Neves as well.
Just ahead of Newgarden, you saw Simon Pagenaud, who already pitted, just beat Newgarden, so we'll have to see how that plays out, teammate on teammate. There's Pagenaud, there's Newgarden.
Well, this makes things very, very interesting. Daly now is the leader, who's ahead of Pagenaud, who has not pitted yet. We've got Rossi in the pits. They're about to take the engine cover off. Obviously look at the ECUs, maybe change that out, see what they can change. Might be a broken header, making an off-song note, but oh, we got a car locked up way down there. Look like Dixon way wide and loses a position.
Racing Castro Neves
back
hard.
to Castro Neves, so. Looked like he was probably trying to make a move on the out lap for Castro Neves. Let's see if we've got a replay. Yeah, he's got a nice little run here. Castro Neves still on cold tires. He comes down the inside. Castro gives him the Pruitt fade, holds him tight, and he just can't get around the corner fast enough. And Castro Neves does the over-under on him.
Let's have a listen. Almost was able to complete it.
I think a brilliant move from Castro Neves. He left enough room so there was no risk of contact, but it made it so difficult on Dixon to make the corner, tightened up the steering input required. That forced Dixon into a lockup situation, and Dixon now almost can see the fire in the eyes there. He wants that position back.
Well, he's right there right now. If he can hold a nice tight apex right here, get another run.
By the way, we just popped in a graphic for you in the top left. Not there at the moment, of course. Points as they run. We'll do that all throughout today's 85-lap race. Just updating you on who is where.
That's Carlos Munoz up ahead in the ABC car. So now Castro Neves has to figure out how to make this pass. They're both on push to passes. Munoz is trying to defend. Here comes Castro Neves. No, he tucks back in.
This is another driver fighting for his future, Carlos Munoz. There has not been a decision made for the two youngsters within the AJ Foyt ABC team. And Munoz dives to the pits, so no confirmation yet on Connor Daly or Carlos Munoz. Tony Kanaan is headed to AJ Foyt Racing for 2018 from Chip Ganassi Racing as we ride aboard the Rahal machine with Graham.
Connor Daly here with a nice big lead over Simon Pagenaud, but he'll have to come to the pits pretty soon. But here is Simon Pagenaud, probably 10 seconds behind, and then again about another 5 or 6 seconds behind is the two.
And even though Connor Daly has to come to pit lane, you lose about 32 seconds, so that would put him back out still maybe in around 10th position. So a really strong run for Daly so far today. He started 11th.
And given the scope of his weekend, he has been down the tail end of the field. That's a massive turnaround. Well done. Still a long way to go, though.
And I said he started 11th. That was Marco Andretti. Daly starting 13th. Was pretty happy with the qualifying performance. Almost made it into the Fast 12. So we ride on board with Rahal. And on a track where tire degradation is as challenging as it is here in Sonoma, Rahal's always someone strong that can just sort of grab the wheel with those big hands and figure out a way to make the car work.
Hey fellas, Simon Pagenaud just radioed into his crew and said these scuff treads are just now starting to fall off. So what was that, 10 laps maybe made, 9 laps? Yeah. About what everybody, maybe a little longer than people think. And as for Graham Rahal, his dad said earlier today, he's so good at saving tires. That's why he won Detroit, because he knew how to preserve those tires both races.
Well, the problem he's got is he's not really fast enough to pull up on these two cars in front of him that are a lap down, and they're not obliged to really let him go by because he's not that close. So they've already been lapped by Connor Daly, but he's really not close enough for them to just pull over and let him go by.
Now, even though that call went in about saying, guys, the tires are starting to go off, Pagano has just laid down the quickest lap last lap.
So what do you view if you're sitting on the timing stand?
Yeah.
The driver's complaining, but the data says otherwise. Here's Connor Daly on pit road.
So remember, Simon Pagano hasn't yet done 10 laps on this stint since he stopped out of sequence. How will it work out for the reigning Verizon IndyCar Series champion? Where will Newgarden be in the mix? Hey, even though it's the championship finale, it's the last race, you can watch every IndyCar on NBC Race online, plus many other sports. You can watch it on mobiles, tablets, connected TV devices with the NBC Sports app. Download the app or find out more at NBCSports.com. As we welcome you back, Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, Paul Tracy with you from Sonoma Raceway, riding on board with Jack Harvey from Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports. Questionable whether young Jack will be back next year with the team. There's a number of drivers' names have been floated around. But this guy, since he stepped into the team, has done a commendable job.
He has. A tough day so far for Schmidt-Peterson. Both cars, Hinchcliffe and Harvey, a lap down to the field. They just signed a renewal with Honda for several more years. They're going to be doing more development work with Honda, closer collaboration. So Sam Schmidt, eyes on the future, looking to take it to teams like Ganassi, Penske, and Andretti. But this was interesting, Paul.
Connor Daly on his out lap after the pit stop. JR comes down, pushes him, out, off. They make contact off the track, jumps it like a supercross bike. And the winner out of that was the black and green car, who took advantage of both of those guys, got around both of them.
That's Charlie Kimball on the far left. Yeah, both cars caught a little bit of air there, didn't they? And there was some none too complimentary comments on the radio after that went down. But let's check in with Kevin Lee and find out more about Alexander Rossi.
Well, I talked to Rob Edwards just a few minutes ago, and they were still trying to diagnose the problem. They did some things with the electrical system, sent him back out. Alexander said still the same, so he came back in. They're still trying to figure it out, but obviously he is one that was mathematically alive for this championship, needed all the rest to finish in the back. But Alexander Rossi not only is not going to win the championship, he is, if not done for the day, going to be way out of it. But still, major progress for him in year number 2.
One of 3 Californians racing in California here today. It has been a very good year, a very good stabilizing year. Yes, he won the Indy 500 last year, but this has been this full championship campaign. That win at Watkins Glen, going head-to-head with Scott Dixon, the master at the Glen, was a fabulous result a couple of weeks ago. And Alexander Rossi confirmed at Andretti Autosport next year. Napa Auto Parts confirmed as the sponsor. The entire Andretti squad is confirmed already, with young Zach Veach coming into the fold, with Takuma Sato leaving. Andretti Autosport are excited about their program being put to bed early and looking forward to 2018 already.
The leaders here, Townsend, have all kind of packed up. Nobody's really running that hard. DeMello there, the white and green car, is kind of running in this group. He's a lap down, but good opportunity for him to run with the best in the business right here and just learn and watch. As we look at his car, the pace-safe car, he's around the best guys in the business here, so it's a good opportunity, even though a lap down, to just really understand what it takes to run with these guys.
Very difficult to do what he's doing. Young rookie driver making your debut at the end of a season when everybody's at the top of their game and charging hard. So he's showing very well. We go back on board with Graham Rahal.
As Graham exits the bottom of the carousel there, you're seeing, you talked about how the leaders are somewhat running in station. He's been able to close up somewhat, and we know that Graham Rahal, you heard Robin Miller talk about that earlier. And look at Castro Neves gets wide. These two are battling, and Graham Rahal is there hoping to pick up the pieces. He is known for being very good on the tires at the end of the stint, and he's there now looking to see if he can take advantage of this.
Scott Dixon almost had a shot there at Helio Castro Neves. You're talking about 4th and 5th. The championship 5 filled the top 5 positions. Simon Pagano has an 11.5-second lead, but remember, he is off sequence. He pitted way earlier than the competition. Newgarden, Power, and then Castro Neves. Watch this, heading up the hill into turn 7, the hairpin.
No lockup going in, Townsend. He just missed the corner by a mile and allowed Dixon to close right in, but really tough to stay that close through the S's and get a shot down at the bus stop chicane. But DeMello now is kind of gapped Castro Neves, so Castro Neves really not able to advance on him to get around him.
This is a fun situation for Rahal. When I say fun, it's because you know that the cars in front of you, all 5 of them are points racing, right? They're under the pressure. The calculators are going on the timing stand to figure out where the points are going to fall. Graham just has the opportunity to go out and win the race, and he knows, hey, I might be able to pick some of these guys off a little easier because of the conservative mindset. And he has a run now.
Oh, he had a good run out of the corner. He was on push to pass right away, and he's there. That's tight.
Oh.
He had a good run off the corner and was right there. So really defensive move by Dixon to hold him off. He really had to push it into the corner there.
Well, and Graham Rahal was very smart to tiptoe his way around that apex because he knows, man, if I take out Dixon by accident, I'm never going to hear the end of it.
It's a fellow Honda driver too. And if you were questioning whether the other Honda drivers were going to help Scott Dixon, you just got the answer right there. Mind you, to your point, Townsend, it wasn't that long ago that Graham Rahal was in the championship points possibility scenario situation himself just 2 years ago.
Guy we haven't given any credit to. Look at this white-blue car, Andretti. He's right there in the mix, right there with the lead group. So Andretti running 7th, which is the best he's run in a long time this stage of the race. He's had some moments where on strategy they've been up front, but then we're out of it after they had to pit. So he is legitimately right now inside the top 10.
Big couple of weekends for Marco, racing the season finale here, the site of his very first Verizon IndyCar Series win back in 2006. He gets married next weekend. We wish him all the best.
And he's a former winner here as well, so good day so far for him.
He's also in his 200th career IndyCar start.
Just looking at push to pass in terms of number of seconds remaining, they started with 150. I think it's very telling that Joseph Newgarden hasn't burned but a second. He has all 150 seconds remaining. That's a great situation to be in with power in the bag. Dixon, 101 seconds remaining. Castroneves, 101, Power, 123. So they've used a little, but they also, I think, need to save a little fuel based on the lap they pitted on. Most of the guys up front around lap 17 or 16. So that shows you how difficult it is to get close. If you haven't used push to pass, it's because you haven't been in a situation that warrants using push to pass.
Pagenaud was 7 seconds, 8 seconds in front of him, and now he's stretched it to almost 15. It's 14.6 seconds. So, but Pagenaud has been using push to pass. He's down to 97 seconds. Now he's on it again for a second, trying to get by Kanaan. So,
and Joseph Newgarden shouldn't be particularly worried about Simon Pagenaud. He knows he's on a 4-stop strategy, and if Pagenaud wins, Newgarden knows, hey, I still have 17 points clear in the championship. So Newgarden will be getting updates from the timing stand from Tim Cintric as we ride on board with Tony Kanaan. Looking out the back to, who is that? That's Simon. And in Kanaan's case, this is an opportunity for Kanaan to sort of drag his pace a little bit here and try to back up Pagenaud to help out Kanaan's teammate, Scott Dixon.
It's 20 seconds from Pagenaud back to Dixon.
Well, he's still on the lead lap. We'll go on board with Joseph Newgarden. Little lockup going in. He ran wide just like his teammates, so you got to be careful. It's good he's got a gap to Will Power, but you can't make those mistakes. But we see he's got a nice little gap here. So
you saw Newgarden reach for the brake biased adjustment to adjust the balance front to rear of brake pressure. And I think really important, smart from Newgarden, when he saw that little wisp of a lockup, he released the brake pressure. He didn't try to force the car to the apex and force the lockup. Keep the tire rolling. It's all about risk mitigation in this situation. Don't get a flat spot. Don't force an unscheduled pit stop early.
Yeah, back to the leaders to comment on them. Kanaan is still on the lead lap, so he is not obligated by any means to move over for Simon Pagenaud. So whether he's going to back him up to Dixon or just try to run his own pace and hope for a yellow, he does not have to move over.
Well, watching the pace of Tony Kanaan, I think it's an interesting point, Paul. 120.0. That's pretty quick. I think he's going to, he has the ability to watch his mirrors, but it won't matter now as Pagenaud comes to pit lane. Lap 29, so definitely a 4-stop strategy. And takes a tear off.
Lap 29 without a caution.
Simon Pagenaud gives up the lead, but guess what, fellas? He had the fastest race lap. He pitted on lap 12. He's on sticker reds again, and the plan is the next pit stop, sticker reds. The final pit stop is brand new reds, so no black flag for him the rest of the race, because he said this thing's pretty good with sticker reds. Jan?
And when he crosses the line on lap 30, that does, just like Townsend mentioned, this has definitely put him in the four-stop strategy. There's no question now. At one time we wondered, would it be super fuel save? Would it be four stops? No question. They're going with four stops all the way and telling Simon, let's go for it.
How will this play out for Simon Pagenaud, the reigning champion who ran away with it here last year at Sonoma Raceway to be crowned the champ? It's a very different looking day today, and it's a very clean race. As we mentioned, now racing lap 31, and it has been green flag all the way, no cautions. It's going to plan so far for this man, Joseph Newgarden. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by United Rentals, offers equipment rental services provider of IndyCar and proud sponsor of Graham Rahal. And by TireRack.com. Find, deliver, install smarter. Tire Rack. Quite the display we had here prior to the start of the race from the Patriots Air Team in the L39 Albatross. An amazing aircraft, beautiful too. They put on quite the display, and congratulations to Steve Page, track president here at Sonoma Raceway, and all of his staff for putting on a terrific show this weekend. There's a great crowd here, really nice atmosphere. And once again, the track gets to host the season finale, and it has been a wonderful weekend here in wine country. My dad's a pilot, doesn't live too far away. Does he know any of those guys?
I'm sure he does. Yeah, I've had many unfortunate memories with my dad trying to scare the heck out of me upside down, sideways. And now I'm told he's taken helicopter lessons at age 72. Back on board with Graham Rahal, and Graham continues to look for a way to try to get himself up front without negatively affecting the championship battle.
Leader now coming up on lap cars, Jack Harvey here. He's got, I think, Hildebrand just up in front of him, it looks like. So this is the first encounter on lap traffic for him. He's got to get through this and not back himself up to the rest of the cars here, but these guys aren't obligated to move over and let him go.
One of the things you have to say too is that, as you two know all too well, drivers are very sensitive about their routine and what happens and any changes, however minimal they might be. I want to say thanks to Team Penske and to Joseph Newgarden for carrying this helmet cam on championship day. That's a change from the routine for him. He did carry it back in St. Petersburg earlier in the year, but when you're so in your routine, you don't want any changes, right, Kev? So it's a big deal. So we say thanks to Joseph for doing that.
And as we watch Joseph Newgarden start to deal with the lead lap traffic and continue to lead this race, keep in mind, as we've talked about throughout the season, this is his first year at Team Penske. Remember how long it took Simon Pagenaud to assimilate. He struggled outside of the top 10 in the championship his first year, won it in year 2. No one will say, whether it be Tim Cindric, who is the team president, or Joseph himself, that they didn't expect him to be in this situation. But it has been a remarkable move throughout this year. And Joseph would tell me early in the season, we haven't even scratched the surface, yet they still, as we see Tim Cindric, they still got a win early in the season at Barber. And by the time we got to the summer, you started to worry for the rest of the competition. They're figuring it out. He's understanding how Penske does things, starting with the best setup from the last time they were there from any one of the teammates, and then making small changes to what that driver likes. Well, now, Brian Campy, the engineering staff, Tim Cindric, they know what Joseph Newgarden likes, and he has been extremely difficult for the rest of the IndyCar field to deal with here in the second half of the season.
Penske team has been very open with us the last few weeks. We've met with Roger Penske. We've got the helmet cam with Newgarden. We got an on-radio interview. So these guys have been really accommodating to us, and it's a big change for that team because normally they're so guarded and don't want to let anybody know what they're doing.
And I think Joseph Newgarden has a lot to do with that. As you said, Lee, he's so much more kind of open and transparent about his hopes, his fears, his anxieties, and things like that. And I think it's been a really positive influence on the Team Penske organization. And it's really cool to see Joseph Newgarden get this opportunity. You know, when he came up through the Mazda road to Indy, we were all saying, wow, this guy's impressive. It'd be neat to see what he could do in an IndyCar. Then Wayne Cartman, Sarah Fisher gave him an opportunity. And then we said, you know, it'd be really cool to see what Joseph Newgarden could pull off with a top team like Penske. Now we see that happen, and that's so cool to see the escalation of the ladder system play out that way, and for a young American to demonstrate why everybody talked about him for so long.
And as a young driver, if things don't go in lockstep according to your personal career plan, don't be afraid to change. Joseph, back in 2010, was racing in GP3 in Europe. He had eyes on Formula One. It didn't work out for a variety of reasons. Came back to the States, became Indy Lights champion, and went down a different path. You've got to be a little bit flexible.
Roger Penske said to me in Townsend, he said, when that kid won that race for Ed Carpenter Racing last year with a broken hand, I knew right then that was a guy I had to have in my car. Kevin?
Paul Lee, it's interesting you mentioned 2010. That's one of the crossroad years in Joseph Newgarden's career. I was talking with his dad, Joey, who's been a great supporter. They used to drive back and forth from the Nashville area to Newcastle Motorsports Park every weekend when he was a teenager, about 5 hours. But he said that 2010 season, after GP3, he thought they might be done. That was the third time in his young career where they didn't know if they were going to have the budget to continue on. And it wasn't until about March that year, before the Indy Lights season, when they found something they liked. They found the opportunity over here in Indy Lights, and you never know what might happen. Perseverance, so many twists down the road. What a story this will be if Newgarden can pull it off here today.
Lee, you spend a lot of your year on the Formula One side. What do you think a driver like Joseph Newgarden, what kind of impact do you think he could have on Formula One as a young American if he were to win this championship and get a chance?
Well, that's one of the questions that happens all the time, right? When are we going to have another American in Formula One, in a Formula One car, doing something at the front? I can tell you for a fact that Haas F1 were talking about Joseph Newgarden. That didn't work out at that particular time, and it's worked out very well for Joseph in IndyCar. I think he would have been terrific in Formula One. Meanwhile, it hasn't been all rosy for this talented young American from Hendersonville. This is a violent crash that Roger was talking about when he broke his hand with Daly there at Texas Motor Speedway. It's one of the most confronting crashes you'll ever see because of that right there. The angle of which he came in contact with the wall, it was extremely frightening. Joseph says, I'm okay, I'm okay. Well, then ends up fronting up at the next race. Where was the next race? Road America, I think, off the top of my head, or whatever it was, and he drove, and we thought, there's no way this kid's going to drive, and he did, and did very well.
Did very well, and then dominated at Iowa, and that was the grit that Roger Penske saw, the performance under pain, and the grit, and he never complained. Newgarden never complained in that. He didn't even want to talk about the injury. He said, it's not a big deal. Just let me go race, and that's what Penske was so impressed with.
He might start to complain a little bit now. Jack Harvey is backing everything up, and there is Simon Pagenaud is going to come into the picture just behind Ryan Hunter-Reay. So these guys are fuel savings, and Jack Harvey is not letting the leader go by, and now Pagenaud has closed that gap from pitting to this group of cars.
But listen, Jack Harvey has every right to fight to stay on the lead lap. He's a guy that's looking for an opportunity in this series. And if a yellow comes out, he stacks right back up, and he can come out with a good result. He's worked his tail off to earn the opportunity to be in the IndyCar Series here this weekend. So two separate stories going on there.
Now, as far as from the leader, right there, Joseph Newgarden behind Jack Harvey, to Simon Pagenaud, it was out to some 14 seconds. It's now down to 10 and a half. So and that is compressing, PT, to your point.
Well, he gave up 30 seconds in the pit lane, so he's closed the gap from 30 plus seconds behind. So,
but here's how worried Newgarden is about it. 150 seconds still left on push to pass. He's just like, you know what? I just need to stay out of trouble. Let's listen to some radio.
Keep it up. I'm really happy on the right, okay? Yeah, copy. We'll have to go to blacks at one point, but we'll do our longest stint on reds.
Simon Pagenaud just saying, I'm really happy on the reds. The team reminding him he's going to have to run the blacks at some point in the race, per the rules.
Telling you what, man, he's got the speed. If he can carve through these cars on reds, he's not fuel savings now. He's going flat out. He might be in a position to steal this race away.
57 seconds of push to pass remaining for Pagenaud, so he's going for it as Castroneves and Dixon come to pit lane, along with Hunter-Reay.
By the way, the driver of the DHL Honda there, Ryan Hunter-Ray, the last American IndyCar champion. Could Joseph Newgarden join him on that list? It's going to get busy down on pit lane. Here's Jan Beekes.
Well, with both these two cars pitting at the same time, I can tell you that for Castro Neves, they're not expecting to make any changes, and they're going with another set of scuffed reds. Katie.
Scott Dixon was battling his race car on those sticker blacks, so they're going to put a full turn of front wing in as you see Elio Castro Neves go by and stick with the sticker blacks. Lee.
And out again. I still think, while this has been rather formulaic and quite steady, I still think there's something happening here in the second half of this race as we draw close to the halfway mark.
There's something happening with Simon Pagenaud. I think that call by his team manager to pull him in and get him out of sequence, I think that could be the winning call.
Penske 1-2 with Will Power less than 2 seconds behind Joseph Newgarden. And speaking of Power and Newgarden, both hit pit lane.
If Simon can build a big enough lead in this next stint, because it could be 30 seconds, if he can continue to grow that lead, he might do a pit stop and come out in front of these guys on the last stop.
Joseph Newgarden just warned by Tim Cindric, watch your speed limit. It's 50 miles per hour. He's pitting at the same time as his teammate Will Power, but easy in and out. He's going to primary black, so all three of the first stints on primaries. Pretty good stop, a little bit longer, over 8 seconds, but it was good enough to beat out Power. Now how will he blend with the others up the hill?
Newgarden has to be careful. Don't get caught behind James Hinchcliffe. Do not let him get around. If he gets stuck there, then Paul, you're right, Pagenaud, who's in clean air, will be making huge headway on that gap.
On board with Hinchcliffe. Newgarden up ahead.
The trick now for Joseph Newgarden is not to allow Pagenaud to build a big enough lead for him to have an opportunity to short fill on the last 2 stops and have a super quick pit stop and get out in front of him at the end.
So Pagenaud has 2 more stops, and I think Newgarden can make it on 1 more stop. There's the tire temp coming in now, so Newgarden should be safe, but that was so critical to get out ahead of Hinchcliffe, who's a lap down and can cause all kinds of headaches with Newgarden's pace.
Well, gives him a big buffer now. Having Hinchcliffe there in between himself and Power, it gives him a buffer to Power, but this is the guy right here he's got to worry about, that he doesn't build up too big of a lead.
We'll give you the time check from Pagenaud, who now inherits the lead of the race. And we'll tell you where he is in comparison to Joseph Newgarden.
25 seconds.
He only needs to make another 5 seconds.
Exactly.
And that's enough to get through as he kind of drifts through the carousel. Whoa, out and just raising a little dust there.
25.3 second gap to Newgarden, 13 on his teammate. So he's only got, like you said, Lee, 5 or 6 more seconds, and he can do a full stop and maybe get out in front. So this is going to be critical for Newgarden. He doesn't have to beat Simon, but he wants to beat Simon and win this championship by winning. But here's the gap right there.
Points as they run right now, 7 points separating Newgarden from Pagenaud.
There it is on the screen. 1 more stop to go if everything remains. Green flag for Joseph Newgarden and Will Power and Elio Castro Neves. He can't afford to lose another position or 2. Stay with us. The second half's going to be great.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Smart for Marco.
Just saw that. Marco Andretti, Graham Rahal, Jack Harvey all up into the turn 7 hairpin. And all got out of there unscathed. As we welcome you back to NBCSN's coverage of the Verizon IndyCar Series and the championship finale. Late in the afternoon here on the West Coast to crown a champion. But just who will it be? This guy on screen, Simon Pagenaud, knows what it feels like to clinch the championship here at Sonoma Raceway.
Right now, he's at 25.8 seconds to Newgarden. We estimate he's going to need 29 or 30 seconds and they will meet basically at turn 1 when they do their pit stop exchange.
Oh,
so
boy.
It could be fireworks.
Pretty easy to do our Chevrolet driver update today, isn't it? First, second, third, fourth. With all the Penske cars up front where they started. Scott Dixon still maintaining a 5th place at the moment over Marco Andretti and Graham Rahal, who we just saw. And then Ryan Hunter-Reay, Sebastian Bourdais, Charlie Kimball in the top 10.
Elio right here holding down 4th place, holding off Dixon. These guys have been fighting during the whole race.
And the story surrounding Elio Castroneves is twofold. He is the driver in the spotlight in today's Chevy driver profile. Just how many times can this guy finish second in the championship? It is, if you're a Castroneves fan, it's somewhat heartbreaking, isn't it? Because he's been one of the sport's most popular drivers for so long, 20th year in open wheel racing. He's a great character, terrific personality, and as a 3-time Indianapolis 500 winner, a fabulous driver. But the championship, the title, has just always eluded him. And it seems that theme is running true again today.
Well, he's been having some trouble here with Scott Dixon all race. Dixon's been all over the back of him as we see push to pass seconds remaining. And again, I point to Pagenaud. He's burned 2/3 of it. And how about Newgarden? 3 seconds. That's all Newgarden's used. So Newgarden absolutely in control right now. He knows the points championship situation. But Paul, the big question mark is what happens on the pit stops.
I don't want to look into my crystal ball too hard right now because it's a little bit foggy, but these guys could meet at the pit lane exit when they do their pit stop exchange. If they end up crashing into each other, this guy right here, Castroneves, could be our champion.
If your crystal ball is foggy, by the way, that's a Christmas ball.
Well, we just saw that push-to-pass graphic where Scott Dixon has the least push-to-pass of all the contenders. Mike, when is he going to start saving to pay off for later?
Well, I don't know what we're saving, but we're doing okay. I mean, we're in sequence with everybody, I think, on the stops, and certainly the race is a bit processional. If you look at the lap times, they're all the same for everybody at the front. So just keep racing and see what happens here. We got a ways to go.
Is there anything you can do in this next sequence of pit stops to get him out in front?
Yeah, I think we just did that. We made a wing change and changed some tire pressure to help the car a bit, get it away from the neutral side of racing, and I think it's a lot better, and I think that final run will be fun.
Still quite a bit of ground to make up for Scott Dixon, Lee.
Yeah, he's hanging in there, but it's a tough fight, and Scott knew that was going to be that way today. Meanwhile, Simon Pagenaud off track.
About 2 more laps here.
2 more laps. He's pushing to the limit, Townsend. He's going for lap times. He's got 2 more laps to pit. Kyle Moore came on the radio, but that just gave up at least 2 or 3 seconds of his advantage as he locks up.
Maybe not, though. That's a shortcut. That's a shorter distance. So what Pagenaud needs to be careful of is that lap time does not register an advantage, or else that shortcut mistake will be subject to review. So Pagenaud will probably try to make sure that the gap...
Pit on this lap.
So pitting this lap.
All right, we're going to find out in a second here once they get...
No action from race control is the message.
And the gap stayed the same, right at about 26 seconds. So no harm, no foul.
Jumped on push to pass there just briefly as well, just to ensure that this in-lap, and he's on it again, this in-lap is as good and as fast as it can be.
And Pagenaud knows that the burning of the push to pass for lap time at this track doesn't leave you as exposed as it does at a place like Road America with longer straightaways. So one of the smartest, most sort of analytical, data-driven drivers out there.
He does it again.
And
but
there
that
it is.
That time he was much slower through there.
But he's going to come to pit lane anyway. So how do you determine if that was an advantage or not? So we'll be watching that 26.2 second gap to Newgarden.
Those last couple of laps on the limit.
All right, here comes Simon Pagenaud out of the lead, fellas. He's putting on brand new reds. No changes to the car. He said the car's perfect. Just leave everything alone and let me take it. Lee?
And Robin, you see where Joseph Newgarden is exiting the final turn. Out he comes, so it'll be close, but not really that close. There goes Newgarden, bottom of your screen. Will Power will beat Simon Pagenaud out as well. So Pagenaud cycles back out in 3rd place.
He cycled out in the past at about 8th or 9th. So now he's cycled his way up to 3rd. So, whoa.
That's Sato. Takuma Sato off at turn 9 there. It's been an eventful day for the Indy 500 winner. But if you're Joseph Newgarden, not only are you atop this race, you're atop the championship, and so far, so good, entering the 2nd half.
Fight night at Gateway, and Joseph Newgarden.
He's got to run.
Whoa, he's stuffing it in
there.
Oh,
my God.
What a swing potentially in the championship.
Get ready. It's the IndyCar Grand Prix at the Glen.
Final stop for the 2 Team Penske cars, and Joseph Newgarden.
He got it same thing. Oh, he gets hit hard by Sebastian Bourdais. The championship leader is in huge trouble.
Damage all over. Front wings broken. Rear wings broken.
And he limps home with just a 3-point advantage. What a story it is in 2017 about Joseph Newgarden, and just the amazing points throughout this year. You know, the 4 victories he's had, but then you look at and the way that he scored some of those victories, and then you look at just 2 weeks ago at Watkins Glen, an unforced error. He apologized to Roger, he apologized to the whole team. He said, that was all on me, made that mistake, put myself in a less than comfortable championship position with a very healthy lead that got trimmed all the way back to 3. And now look at him sitting as they run. While we're on lap 52 of 85, he's sitting comfortably points-wise.
So impressive the way Newgarden rebounded from that Watkins Glen mistake to show up here at Sonoma with nothing but the mentality to go grab the championship. He didn't come here, Paul, kicking himself and thinking, well, I need to adjust my style. He's been in full attack mode all weekend.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's been the effective leader of the race, but the guy who's closing right here is Simon Pagenaud. Remember, he's done an extra pit stop to everybody else, and he's closed that gap almost all the way back to the leader. He's now 5 seconds behind, 5.5, and he was 8 at the exchange of the pit stop. So I don't know, he's got an opportunity to win this race, but he would have to really have Newgarden fall back a couple positions, worse than 4th, for him to win the championship.
As we ride with Scott Dixon, remember, as we have told you all season long, you can watch live in-car cameras only with IndyCar Mobile and only on Verizon. Keep that in mind not only today, but for the 2018 season. By the way, Townsend and myself spoke with Mark Miles, the Chief Operating Officer, CEO, I should say, of Holman & Co., the parent company of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the IndyCar Series. He's saying probably by the end of the month, the schedule for 2018 should be out. Hearing very good things too, folks, about Mexico City. So there's some exciting news about 2018. Let's go to Kevin.
Tim Cindric calls strategy as the team president for Team Penske for Joseph Newgarden. You've got a set of sticker alternates, sticker reds there. How does that impact your situation?
Yeah, obviously, you know, we'll have to control the tires to the end there. I think the 9 cars in the same boat. So we'll be racing against the same tire to get to the end. It'll just be a matter of what happens there.
Can that be an advantage if, say, you're racing Simon Pagenaud, who's going to be on heated tires as you try to beat him up the hill after the stop?
Yeah, from a restart perspective, you know, you're just trying to protect the restarts, and it should be cooler than it was at the start of the race when the other guys ran the reds.
Thank you, Tim Cindric, trying to guide his young American, Joseph Newgarden, to his first championship. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 for Team Penske. Who's going to win the championship in Sonoma?
You're watching the GoPro Be a Hero Grand Prix of Sonoma, the season finale in the Verizon IndyCar Series. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, Paul Tracy with you. Katie Hargett, Jan Beekes, Kevin Lee, Robin Miller working pit road on what has been a really enjoyable weekend, particularly if you're driver of the number 2 Hum Chevrolet for Roger Penske. This is Joseph Newgarden, and the pole position was yesterday was only the 2nd in his career. But look at this. Teammates are getting nice and close together now, albeit on different pit stop strategies.
Yep. Pagenaud on the 4-stop strategy, and something big just happened. Pagenaud got around Will Power. We're not sure if Power let him by or
drive power was passed in anger by Pagenaud, but now the gap between Newgarden and Pagenaud is closing, and Paul, as you point out, Pagenaud will be able to short fill on his final stop. So the battle for the win very much in question, but Newgarden is still in championship control.
So and it all comes down, which will be determined here shortly over the next 10 or so laps, as to who leads the most lap in the race. There are 2 bonus points up for grabs for that, and it looks like it's going to go Joseph Newgarden's way. Now, if that happens, if Pagenaud were to win the race, Joseph Newgarden would still win the championship, even finishing, Paul, as low as 4th.
Yes, Joseph doesn't have to panic, but I would assume that he really wants to win this race to cap the season off. But the fastest guy on track is Simon Pagenaud, and I believe he passed Power with straight up speed. He's not saving fuel. He's going as fast as he can go on red tires, and these other guys are all saving fuel a bit.
And how much does Simon Pagenaud remember the forceful, unapologetic pass that Joseph Newgarden put on him in St. Louis? How much does that factor into things, Robin?
Well, I don't know, but Kyle Moyer got the fastest car on the track, and your strategy's coming back here. It looks like everything's going to be the last pit stop.
Yeah, it's gonna be through this exchange. You know, once Joseph comes in, if we can do a couple of laps really fast, it'll be great. If not, you know, Joseph's got us, and you know, we gave it a valiant try. But I mean, right now, I mean, you're gonna have one guy saving fuel, and you got one guy running as hard as he can. So Simon's gonna be pretty wore out after this race. I can tell you that much.
Thanks, Kyle. Lee.
Here's another thing to factor in, Lee. Newgarden will have 147 seconds. That is almost 2 laps of push to pass of extra horsepower. So he can use that, and I expect him to use that exactly when that round of stops happens to make sure that he takes advantage of the gap that he has in push to pass seconds remaining, as we see it there upper left. Look at how much Pagenaud had to use.
Pagenaud has been pushing to the limit. He's had lots of guys to pass. He's come through the field. At one point was 16th on track, so he's worked his way all the way back to 2nd.
And this was what I was talking about. Joseph Newgarden, this could have been the pass that defines his 2017 championship if it comes to be, but Pagenaud was furious. Let's not underestimate. Pagenaud did not approve of that move. Obviously, Newgarden could care less. He takes the win in big celebration, but I just wonder if in the back of Pagenaud's head, he's thinking to himself, you know what? A little chance for payback here.
Yeah. But what I like, and Paul, you know this all too well, what I like is Roger Penske, the captain, and Tim Cindric, president of Team Penske, has let them race, has let the independent teams and engineers go for different strategies within this power pack of 4. Let's listen to some radio.
Working on your fuel for us. Simon's on a whole different deal. Don't worry about Simon. Trying to keep that, getting that 70. Working on 70.
Don't worry about Simon. He's on a different deal. That was the word from Tim Cindric to Joseph Newgarden.
Good coaching by Tim Cindric, because as a driver, you're just thinking about, I want to win this race, I want to win this race, and you're not thinking about the strategy. So that's heads-up coaching by him. He doesn't really have to worry about Simon, but for sure, we all know as race drivers, Townsend, that you want to win the race.
There you see the top 5 pit strategy. 17 laps since Newgarden last stopped, 85-lap race, so he pitted on lap 40. So he has to make 45 laps with one more stop. That splits it at about lap 22, 23 on the stints, Jan.
Yes, it does. And last year, for example, the final pit stops for all the leaders were made on lap 61. So they took 24 laps to get home. I would expect that you would want to go a lap or 2 more than that this year, certainly for Joseph Newgarden, so you don't hamstring yourself into having to save. They did that last year because of a late caution. This will be very interesting. Just like Kyle Moyer said, car there in the white behind, not saving fuel, the dark car of Joseph Newgarden having to hit that number. You heard Tim Cindric say, we need 70, that's a fuel number.
Let's drift a little further down the order behind the championship 5. 5th place is the white and blue car there of Scott Dixon. Behind him is Marco Andretti. That'll be a nice way to finish the season off, finishing as high as 6th if he can stay there ahead of Graham Rahal. Fellow Andretti driver Ryan Hunter-Ray is 8th, Sebastian Bourdais is 9th, and Charlie Kimball is in the top 10. This is getting pretty dicey here. Tony Kanaan and Graham Rahal Kanan's last drive in Ganassi colors.
Kanan is a lap down, and I think Kanan's just desperately trying to get into the battle to see if he can do something to help Dixon. Going to be tough with Rahal and Andretti having pretty good pace so far, looking very racy.
Tony, one of a handful of Florida-based drivers who had to deal with the just horrendous conditions from Hurricane Irma. He said to us just earlier that his house wasn't flooded, but conditions are far from ideal for him. Well, not just, of course, of everybody in Florida and the surrounding areas that were affected, and also Hurricane Harvey as well in Texas and Louisiana and surrounding areas. We're thinking of you, folks. Hey, Paul, it may not be for the championship, it may not be for the big trophy, but these guys are having fun. This is good, close racing.
They're having a good scrap. I'm just watching Marco. He's driving really well. It's probably one of the best races he's had all year. It's been a bit of a dismal season. It started off well. He was fast. He was competitive in the first few races, and you know, hitting his marks and getting good qualifying practice laps, top of the heap a few times, but just could never convert the qualifying effort into a good starting position. And this weekend, he made it into the Fast 12, had a good run, and he's having a good result so far. So if he can hold this together, it would probably be the best road course result of the year for him.
Sun's now starting to be a big factor heading up to turn 2.
Very difficult as the sun sets. Really isn't setting, it's just dropping behind the mountains that are up off to driver's left in turn 1. As you come through the fastest section of the track in turn 1 and go uphill, you gotta really struggle to find your brake mark and find the apex for turn 1.
Kanan had a nice run. I saw Rahal spin the tires off the hairpin.
How big a deal do you think it's going to be for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan going back to a 2-car team next year for Graham?
I can make an argument both ways. Look at how well.
Go ahead.
Look at how well.
Right.
Joseph Newgarden's going to come to pit lane, so that'll be important. I was just going to finish the thought. Look at how well they have run as a one-car team.
Yeah.
That's a pretty sensitive little chemistry to mess with by adding a second car with Takuma Sato. Dixon's in.
And it was a last-minute call for Scott Dixon to come down pit lane. Mike Hull came over the radio at the very last minute and said, pit now. So far for Scott Dixon, though, it's been virtual silence over the radio. But like Joseph Newgarden, he has sticker reds for this final stint. They're not planning on any changes. We'll wait and see. And a good stop for Scott Dixon. Lee.
Thanks, Katie. So away goes the 4-time champion, and it's looking increasingly difficult to be a 5-time champion here today. The complexion of things hasn't really changed, has it? It's remained very stable with this championship 5. The mathematical 6th possibility, Alexander Rossi, went out early, then came back out, but it hasn't been Alexander's day either.
So this is huge right here for Newgarden. He's going to go to reds, which is the tire you want for the outlap, and I expect him to burn up the push to pass as he leaves pit lane.
Final stop for Joseph Newgarden coming. It could determine a championship. He'll take Sunoco fuel. He'll need a full load to make it the rest of the way, and he's got sticker red Firestones. Now this is mostly a longer stint, so he's got to make these last, and he was ready to stop. He said the tires are done. We need to get in as soon as we can. Final stop for Newgarden is a good one, just over 7 seconds, John.
And you saw that Joseph Newgarden left on sticker reds for Castro Neves. He already used those at the start of the race. So yes, he's going to reds, but these already have some time on them. He also is going to have to wait for all the Sunoco fuel to get in, but this looks quick. Just waiting on fuel. Nice. 7.2 seconds for the captain.
We need to watch the gap from Power back to Newgarden now. If it's over 30 seconds, and he does a nice, clean, short stop, he will probably come out in front of Newgarden.
I'm surprised I'm not seeing Newgarden on the button yet. Maybe he wants to wait until he gets tire temp. He has clear track in front of him. So for the overall win, Newgarden should probably be thinking about using up some horsepower here as he tries to close up the gap with Pagenaud. Pagenaud's on the button. Only 26 seconds remain as Power comes to pit lane.
Pagenaud is absolutely pushing to the limit as we see Power come to the pit lane.
Will Power also taking the opportunity to pit, but he was able to go 1 lap longer. Of course, that shouldn't make a huge difference other than you won't have to save quite as much fuel. One of the reasons why you see some people not using as much push to pass, like Joseph Newgarden, that does use a little more fuel. Newgarden flashes by the start-finish line.
And easily ahead of Will Power.
31.1 seconds is the gap now between Newgarden and Pagenaud. When Pagenaud makes his last stop, they are going to meet at the pit exit.
And I can
mark my words.
I can assure you that Tim Cindric, if that happens, Cindric will be on the radio to Newgarden saying,
"Let him
don't
go.
push it. You don't need it."
Pagenaud, fastest lap of the race by half a second. So Pagenaud has the pace on that 4-stop strategy. We expect Pagenaud to come in.
Here we go. Look at this. I thought he'd run more laps, but he's got traffic in front of him, so he decided to bail out because he's going to get slowed down by the traffic.
Newgarden has not used any push to pass. He needs to burn that horsepower to get the win.
He might jump on it now.
I'm surprised.
Final stop coming up for Simon Pagenaud, Robin.
Okay, for the very first time all day, he's going to put on blacks, sticker blacks. He hadn't had them on all day. He hadn't changed the car one time. He says it's perfect. It's faster than it's ever been. Give me a good stop and I'm on my way.
All right, just where is Joseph Newgarden in comparison to Simon Pagenaud? He's not even in sight yet. There he is. This is going to be close.
Right at the pit exit, just like I said. There he is.
Simon Pagenaud will stay ahead of Joseph Newgarden.
Newgarden's got to make the move right here and don't run in the back of him.
Pagenaud's going to struggle on those cold black tires in these cooler afternoon conditions.
Teammate on teammate. Top 2 in the championship at the moment.
Told you. These guys are going to run each other hard. He's got to make a move in the carousel here. He's got hot red tires, 1 lap on him. He's got to get him lined up here and use that push to pass and get a run down this straightaway.
The key thing is Joseph Newgarden does not need to beat Simon Pagenaud, but he wants to win the race en route to winning the championship.
He doesn't need to, but his ego desperately wants the move. He's going to go high and cross under Pagenaud. Watch this.
He got him. No, he spun the tires. He spun the tires.
I cannot believe that Newgarden didn't
Smart
use
there,
push
but
to
not racing
pass.
for the championship right now. You need those tires.
There's Cindric reminding him, don't risk it. I can't
Get
believe
a nice
Newgarden
run
didn't
out of
use
here. He's going to get a run out of here into the hairpin. Use that push to pass.
It's too late now.
It's too late, baby, now. I told you they were going to meet at the pit exit.
Well, and I told you that Newgarden should have used the 147 seconds he had during the laps where he had a gap to make sure he wasn't in this situation. Look at all of that.
Just make us fuel. 65 is your number.
Again, Tim Cindric.
Have to make 65.
So
That's the game.
He's still got a fuel save. He's got to make 65 is the game. So he doesn't have to beat Pagenaud, but he wants to beat Pagenaud. But I told you that Pagenaud was going so fast and burning up laps and going like crazy.
And now he's got to deal with Will Power because Will Power is just cresting the hill back there. So Power isn't too far behind Joseph Newgarden. About 1.8 seconds behind. There he is in the distance in the silver and red Verizon Chevy.
Turns out my crystal ball was pretty clear, not cloudy.
I thought it was a snowball.
So points as they run. It'll be 17 to the advantage of Joseph Newgarden. Boy, some of those exchanges were close on that outlap. That was a little too risky, too close, but it's calmed down now. Pagenaud, the new race leader. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Honda, an official vehicle of the Verizon IndyCar Series, and by Soldier Strong, helping service members take their next steps forward. In a beautiful part of the country, wine country, Northern California, weather has been spectacular all week, and you know, I like ending the championship here. It's good. It's a good place.
I know you do. grew up not far from here, learned to drive a few miles up the road, but these rolling hills, I love road races.
You did, I did.
I did, yes. These rolling hills and natural terrain road courses are the best to drive because of the way they rip it through the hills, and this was the moment of the race.
One back in your mirrors, looking.
I tell you what, Simon checked him up there in the middle of the corner. He was lucky he didn't run right into the back of him and damage his wing, but very aggressive on that outlap for Pagenaud by Newgarden trying to get by, but once he got to the carousel here, Pagenaud's tires were up to temp, and it was going to be near impossible.
And I bet that Pagenaud is thinking to himself, come on, try it, make a mistake and give me a chance to win the championship.
But even that over and under move up at the turn 7 hairpin was a little too close. You take off a little bit front wing and whatever, and it was just, that was high risk.
Did you notice how Pagenaud kind of left the door open, though, to just try to tempt him into shooting up the inside and forcing something that could put him back a few more positions?
So, in addition to the Indianapolis 500 wins, of course, Roger Penske is so proud of his IndyCar champions. Just look at some of the names scrolling here through. And we're not saying how many times these drivers have won championships in total, but how many times they've won championships for Roger Penske. And what an honor roll of IndyCar champions, and of course the reigning champ, Simon Pagenaud, who leads this race at the moment. To go in the GoPro Beer Hero Grand Prix of Sonoma. 16 laps left in this 2017 championship. As you know, Formula One is on NBCSN, and already looking forward to the next Grand Prix. It's the Malaysian Grand Prix, Sunday, October 1st, right here on your home of motorsport. And speaking of Formula One, coming up when we're done, there is an encore performance of the Singapore Grand Prix from earlier today as we welcome you back to the GoPro Beer Hero Grand Prix of Sonoma. Racing to the end of the season, racing to the end of this championship, where it is looking very, very good for Team Penske's Joseph Newgarden to be crowned an IndyCar champion at the end of his first season with Roger Penske.
Not over yet, though. There's 13 laps to go, and I think interesting, just in front of Pagenaud are two teammates battling for honors with Ed Carpenter Racing, Hildebrand and Piggott.
Joseph Newgarden certainly in position right now, and he's got about 15 or so friends and family here, including his girlfriend Ashley. While Joseph seems very calm throughout the week and at times throughout the day today, Ashley's looked quite nervous. She's down here watching. Joseph's mom, Tina, is also down here as well. His sister, Christina, that's her right there. And also his other sister, Josephine, is watching with a big group in Chicago. She wishes she could be here, wasn't able to be here. And Joey, his dad, is also here, who has had so much to do with his career. Now, as far as on the track, it's almost like trying to hold the young bull back, listening to the conversation with Tim Cindric and Joseph Newgarden, who's got within striking distance to possibly try to overtake Simon Pagenaud. But the championship is his if it stays this way. Plus, he's trying to still save some fuel at this point, but you know Joseph Newgarden would love to take the opportunity to pounce and finish it off with his 5th win of the season.
Well, you can't afford to make any mistakes, Townsend. You can't afford to drop a wheel, get tangled up in these lap cars. He's just got to be calm and smooth here. Listen to his team manager, Cindric, who's won many championships for Roger. He doesn't have to race Simon. I know he wants to beat him, but he's got to beat.
Yep. Just updating you on a couple of other drivers. Takuma Sato is officially retired from the event. We believe engine troubles on the Andretti Autosport machine. And Ed Jones, Rookie of the Year, is the most recent retirement. Late in this race with just 12 to go. There is the 19 of Ed Jones. He had a super run at the Indy 500. He's had a very solid year. Townsend, I take your point about there hasn't been like the huge grandstand result that makes people go, wow. But I mean, stepping in, very solid season. Obviously, Rookie of the Year. Good job, well done. Hopefully we will see him back next year, Jan.
And when you watch this Penske trio up front, it's just very intriguing for me. You can see how hard Simon Pagenaud is pushing. And And the question Townsend and I have been talking about during the breaks is, why did Joseph Newgarden not take the opportunity, not the whole time, but when it came close to your outlap and when he knew that Simon Pagenaud was pitting, why not use the push to pass maybe 3 or 4 times to try to get that position? But I really think it's because Tim Cindric was coaching him knowing we have to have the big game. We can't look at winning the race, we have to look at winning the championship. Every time you go to push to pass, it does use a little more fuel. He then would have a charging Simon Pagenaud behind him. Right now, he has a Penske car in front, he has a Penske car behind. He's right where he needs to be as far as the points go.
But I don't think Newgarden's given up on winning this thing, because when I watch Simon Pagenaud, I see a lot of squirrely from the rear of the car. Don't forget what Pagenaud said earlier. I want reds. He has to run blacks at the end, and there's a lot of oversteer. Pagenaud's dropped wheels. He's had a lot of oversteer the last couple of laps. So I think Newgarden knows if he can get close, he'd love to come out of this thing with a win.
And Pagenaud has lapped cars in front of him now, holding him up. Newgarden is closed. Newgarden has 141 seconds of push to pass. Pagenaud is down to 13 seconds.
It's interesting listening to the radio conversation on the 2 team between Tim Cindric and Joseph Newgarden, which is all I've been doing, and never has Tim said, do not use push to pass. So is it a case a driver is waiting to be cued when to use it, or in that fuel code, 65 or 70, would that tell him, we're saving a certain amount, you cannot use push to pass unless I specifically tell you?
Well, he'll make that fuel number with these lapped cars in front of him, because they're not really turning that fast to laps. The last lap was a 1:21 for Pagenaud and a 1:20.8.
And I think really interesting here, Paul, you talked about the 2 lap cars ahead. J.R. Hildebrand racing hard with Spencer Pigot. Pigot is replacing Hildebrand in the team full-time next year. So Hildebrand, he just needs to go out. He wants to go out big here. And neither of those 2 green and gold cars care much about the championship, Penske, or race wins. They just want to come out with top honors.
Just 10 laps to go, a little shy of 10 laps, in fact, in this 2017 championship. Final break. We'll come back to take you all the way to the checkered flag. Boy, things are getting interesting here at the front as we welcome you back to Sonoma Raceway, the closing laps of the championship. And look at this, Simon Pagenaud, race leader in the 1 there, is caught behind the 2 Ed Carpenter Chevrolets, who are caught behind Tony Kanaan, and it's brought everybody back together. Will Power is just a couple of car lengths back behind Joseph Newgarden with 8 laps remaining.
This is going to get really interesting if Newgarden wants this lead and wants this win, whether he'll make the same kind of move on Pagenaud that
7 to go here. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't worry about Simon.
He's getting coaching from his team not to worry about Simon. Don't race Simon. But if I'm a race driver, I want to win this race.
Well, I tend to think that Newgarden is going to listen to Tim Cindric and trust in the information. Look at Pagenaud. How about that? Every lap this season. Think about all of the potential pitfalls in an IndyCar race. That is a sensational statistic. I think it's only happened once before in IndyCar history.
Tony Kanaan did it in 2004 when he went on to win the championship. But Simon is the only one in this year's field to have completed every lap of the 2017 championship. Nice way to go out as the reigning champion. If you can't win the championship, win the race. Points as they run with 6.5 to go. 17 points the difference between Newgarden and Pagenaud.
Wait to see if some of these guys start to peel off. Kanaan was due at any moment. He's gone already, so these 2 Ed Carpenter cars,
they're good to go.
Still out here.
They're good to go to the finish, so there's no mandate. You saw the waving blue flag, but it's not a mandate unless you are a lap down to the entire field to get out of the way. So the ECR cars, by the rule book, and it's constantly repeated by Brian Barnhart in the meeting, they have every right to stay where they are according to the rules.
Oh, somebody's off right there.
Drop the wheel.
Looks like Newgarden is backed off of the back. He was
kind of challenging Pagenaud a little bit. He's kind of just taking the orders of his team just to, hey, cool it here. The guy they got to worry about is Dixon right now, so can't afford to get in any problems with any of these guys. But
Dixon's finding it difficult to try and clear. Carlos Munoz in the 14.
So what would you do, Paul? You got Tim Cindric on the radio telling you to just stay there, take it easy.
Well,
you've been in that situation before.
There's a reason I don't have a job at Penske and he does. I wasn't very good at listening to those orders.
You realize that's why we love you so much. Hard charger all the way to the end.
What about the song? What about the singing that broke out before? Huh?
Don't go there, Lee.
No.
Don't go there. I like the driving. The singing gives me a migraine.
I'll tell you what, this guy, if you look at Simon right here, go back to Newgarden, he's going to be the star of American racing for a long time to come. I said, you know, when he was at Ed Carpenter Racing, he deserved a chance. He's young, he's fast, he's brave, he's good looking, he gets all the sponsor names in, he talks very clearly, it doesn't sound staged, he gets everything in after a race.
Well, he's sincere.
The crew
He's
loves
sincere.
him, he's at the shop every day, he's working out with his crew. The 20 and 21 just pulled over, so now it's just these two racing alone. But this kid is the whole package.
Think about this, boys. 4 years ago, Tim Cindric and I were sitting in the grandstands watching Austin Cindric, his son, run the Pro Mazda race. And I started in on him, and I said, how can you and Roger not have Joseph Newgarden under contract? They had a meeting with him, and he was only 21 years old, and he was kind of immature. And Tim said, well, he crashes a lot. And I said, well, he's a one-car team trying to keep up with you guys. Hell, yes, he crashes a lot, but look at the potential he's got. So I kept beating on him, and I kept beating on Penske. And last year at Long Beach, I said, what's the deal? And he goes, just calm down. He said, I've been looking at this kid. He's on our list. So I'm glad they finally signed the kid up, because his career, think of what lays ahead of this guy, and he's going to be a hell of a champion. We just got to convince people, boys. It's Joe Newgarden from Tennessee, not Joseph from the Ukraine. So let's work on that.
And every year, Joseph Newgarden has improved in his championship result at the end of every season. First season in 2012, he finished 23rd overall. Next year, made a whopping leap to 14th. Next year, marginal improvement to 13th. A bigger step in 2015 to finish 7th. Last year, finished 4th. Incremental improvements every single year.
And let me remind everybody out there listening that at some point in their career, Robin Miller has been their agent.
It was yours for a long time.
I was Graham Rahall's agent. I was told to quit talking about him on Wind Tunnel. So now I've taken over for Spencer Piggott and Joseph Newgarden, but so far, no money has changed hands.
And if not the driver, the agents for some of the CEOs of the sport. Robin Miller, you love the sport. You've been so fierce in your convictions, and we have a lot of respect for your love and influence in what goes on here. But I hear you loud and clear with Newgarden. And I got to say, I don't agree with Tim Cindric. I can't remember a time when Newgarden was immature. He might have crashed a little more often, but I always saw Newgarden as a very mature and focused young driver. As a battle still continues at the back.
7th and 8th here, Marco Andretti and Ryan Hunter-Ray.
Good battle going on, getting the big marbles offline now, so these guys got to be careful. It's tough to get by. It's a little bit turned into a one-line track in some of the sections of the track, because there's a lot of marbles offline, especially through the S's coming back towards the hairpin.
One more thing, you guys, you got to think about what is Penske like? He likes a polished kid the fans like, the media loves. He's the Penske perfect driver from top to bottom. PT probably wasn't a Penske perfect driver, but he was just a great racer.
And there is Roger. Boy, the sense of pride coming into this championship finale with all 4 of his drivers in contention, all 4 of his drivers locking out the front 2 rows of the grid, all 4 of his drivers still on track now, still running well.
And you can see the anxiety in Roger Penske's body there. How many times has he seen the championship?
2 to go.
Slip
in shape. Just keep doing what you're doing.
The championship slip away at the final round. So if he can finish 1, 2, 3, with the Drivers' Championship. That's going to be incredibly satisfying to complete the job in dominant fashion.
Well, he'll be 1-2 in the championship, but Dixon will spoil the party for the top 3. He'll come home in 3rd right now, and then Castro Neves, what may be his final season, slips to 4th.
Good coaching from Tim Cindric. Just keep doing what you're doing. 2 to go. We're almost there.
Still saving fuel, Town. You hear him backing off the throttle, coasting into the corners, saving his brakes, not using the rear tires too hard.
How about that? I mean, when have you ever seen an IndyCar driver finish a full race with over 90% of push to pass still remaining?
I can say for me, never.
Never.
I can't remember it. It's quite the opposite. Usually they're quite greedy with it and use it up very quickly.
Chilton was on the push to pass, trying to stay on the lead lap. 1 more lap to go at the line, so he will fight to end his season on the lead lap.
Don't get caught up in that mess in front of you. Do what we're doing here. 1 more.
Cindric giving his driver instructions, don't get caught up with that mess in front of you, because we see Chilton is fighting to stay on the lead lap.
Well, remember, Max Chilton drives for Chip Ganassi. Even though this might be the last lap that he drives for Chip Ganassi, he's still on that team, and up ahead of Chilton is Charlie Kimball, who might be on his last lap for Chip Ganassi. So that's what Tim Cindric refers to by the mess. They don't want anything to happen that could affect Dixon's ability to make something happen as a miracle here with half a lap to go.
By the way, Max Chilton will finish, if he stays where he is now, Max Chilton will finish 11th in the championship. That's not a bad run. Not a bad run.
He was just on the push to pass again. He's wide, tires spinning coming out of the corner. All these marbles here offline. Look at the size of those marbles, Townsend. Big chunks.
No pressure from behind.
They're huge.
Oh,
it looks like a gravel
make a
trap.
move.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a brave move for the last lap.
Simon Pagenaud and his engineer, Ben Bretzman, had composed a really sensible, savvy race, a 4-stop strategy to get Simon Pagenaud the victory as he comes into the final turn. But the focus, he might be in position 2 and car number 2, but he will be number 1. Simon Pagenaud wins in Sonoma, but Joseph Newgarden is the 2017 Verizon IndyCar Series champion.
Great team.
Great job, team. Awesome work. Awesome stuff. Thank you, guys.
It's a reality now for Joseph Newgarden, the 26-year-old from Hendersonville, Tennessee, is a champ. He's the first American IndyCar champion in 5 years. What an awesome performance. Ashley, his girlfriend, Christina, his sister, mum and dad are there as well. That is huge. Winning the championship in your first year for Roger Penske. It doesn't get any better.
How many more is Joseph Newgarden capable of at such a young age with an amazing team? He's got such a bright future. And he'll remember this cool down lap for a long time under the golden Californian sun. Thumbs up from all his fellow drivers.
And Joseph Newgarden is the 2017 Verizon IndyCar Series champion.
There's the push to pass.
Just think back to the beginning of the broadcast when he told now Kevin Lee, I'm trying to keep my emotions in check. I'm trying not to let it get the best of me and get carried away. Just got to do what I know. Let's hear from the man who leads and owns the team. He's with Katie.
And 4 dogs in this fight for Roger Penske. And Roger, your newest one brings it home. What made this transition so smooth for Joseph Newgarden?
Well, I think we saw how good Joseph was when we were racing against him, and you saw him in Iowa. You saw him do such a great job. But, you know, overall, it's a team effort here. Everybody, and you can see Simon there was strong at the end. But, again, I can't believe it. It's a great thing for our team.
You've always been a boys have at it among your drivers for the championship. What led to that decision?
Well, I think that's the way we race, and that's the way we sit down and talk about it and use your head, don't knock anybody off. So we had a good day.
And 15 championships now for Roger, as we see Michael Andretti also walking up to congratulate Roger Penske. Lee.
Fantastic. Fantastic. There's Scott Dixon did as good as he could do today, ended up coming home 4th.
Top Honda.
Top Honda, 3rd in the championship. Will Power in behind. It's just a rock-solid day from the Championship 5, and Joseph Newgarden did exactly what he had to do. And in an exciting piece of history, a meaningful piece of history for Joseph Newgarden. He joins the likes of Rick Mears, Al Unser Jr. and Gilles de Ferran to win in their first season for the captain.
Driver, as you sit there, you just want to get out of that car so fast and hug your crew. But, you know, you got some protocol here to do, wait for TV to get their interviews. But look at his guys are right there, everybody congratulating. You just want to get out and hug everybody.
How about that, huh?
Is he allowed to get out now?
Yeah. Agua! Come on!
Let the celebration begin. Joseph Newgarden is the 3rd American IndyCar champ since 2000. He's the youngest in a unified IndyCar since Jacques Villeneuve in 1995. Congratulations from Roger Penske. His dad Joey has already been in. And let's watch for a moment before we talk with Joseph Newgarden and let him celebrate friends, family, and team. Team Penske President Tim Cindric, who called the strategy for this race.
I said at the beginning of the year that was a big move for Cindric to move off of Power's car and take on Newgarden. I thought that was a huge move. Man, did he ever coach him today, Kevin?
Joseph, you are an IndyCar champion. How does that sound?
That's awesome. You know, just so cool. So proud of these guys. It's just, I don't even know what to say. It was all year. Took a lot to make this happen. You know, thank you to my teammates. They were giving me a lot of help today and making sure that we got this done. And it's a huge team effort at Team Penske. So it's cool to do this in home colors with Verizon. Verizon does so much for the IndyCar series. They've given fans such great access over the years. So happy to have this car on for the championship. It's super fitting. And all our other partners that we've had at Team Penske, it's just been phenomenal working with Team Chevy, PPG, Fitzgerald Glider Kits, DeVilbiss. We've had so many great partners on this car, and to finally get it done, it's a dream come true, man. It's too awesome.
You are the first champion in their 20s in almost a decade, and you might have had a car that could win this race, probably did. How hard was it to not try to attack and win the race at the end and just do what you needed?
It was hard. I was using my natural instincts. I was trying to get Pagenaud there because I just, you know, that's what I normally do. I try and win the race whenever possible, and, you know, Tim was telling me, be patient, don't do something stupid. So I tried to get him, but I also tried not to do anything dumb for the team. And like I said, this has been a team effort, so I'm happy for Pagenaud. You know, he had the pace to win today for sure, so he's very deserving, and this entire group makes this happen. So I'm so thankful and happy with everything that Team Penske's done, and congrats to everyone at the factory. I mean, this is an amazing amount of work that goes into this.
The fans can hear you here. You have been a popular champion. You can tell in the reaction. What do you want to say to the fans that are listening?
Gosh, thank you so much to the IndyCar fans. We have some of the best in the world. It's only getting better, I swear. The IndyCar series is growing. People know that we have great motorsports here, so tune in. If people don't know, tell them what's up with IndyCar racing. Come to the Indy 500 next year. Come watch the 2018 Verizon IndyCar Series Championship. You will not be disappointed. So thank you for all your support.
And I don't know if you had a chance to talk with all your close family members. I saw your dad, Joey, lean in. What do you want to say to them in front of everyone?
They've done so much for me. My dad, he put it all on the line, just like my mom. And it's a dream come true. I'm sure they're happy too, man.
Congratulations. Joseph Newgarden, we'll talk to him again when we present the Astor Cup to the young American IndyCar champion.
Where are they? Where's my...
that's an example of why he is and will be a very popular champion. He's just a great guy, a great young American champion.
Pretty cool to hear the emotion in his voice when he thinks back and realizes the work and the sacrifice, not for just himself, but his entire family to get him to this point. I think it's all kind of hitting Joseph right now.
The days of going with your dad and your family to the go-kart track when you're a kid, and the sacrifices that they do and the money you spend to get you to this point that his father committed and his mother, to get him here now. And you hear as soon as he brought up the family, he immediately got choked up and welled up, his eyes welled up and started to cry. So amazing day for this young kid.
And Scott Dixon came into the race today 4 points behind Joseph Newgarden, but rounds out the season third in points. Scott, could you have done anything differently to catch up with Team Penske today?
I don't know. It seemed like, you know, the three just covered us. Whenever we pitted short, they pitted with us, and he was just a massive roadblock. And it was, you know, he was good in 6, you know, where you kind of needed the run into 7, tried a 1 lap and kind of overshot there. So it was circumstance. You know, once we got clear track, we were able to hunt them down. But all day, as soon as we got in traffic, the car just got really loose. So huge credit, obviously, to everybody on the NTT data crew. You know, it was a strong season. Obviously not where we want to finish in the championship, but congrats to Penske and obviously Joseph on a job well done.
It's kind of an odd season for you, just 1 win, but still in the championship hunt. When you look back on this season, how would you characterize it compared to your others?
I think we had good speed, but just, you know, we should have won quite a few races and didn't. We, you know, got crashed out of a few as well, and those are all valuable points. So, you know, you can look back and blame it on, you know, 10 different things, but you know, I think as a group we learned a lot this season. Going back to Honda, I think, you know, the team definitely made some good gains, and looking forward to next season. We'll have a little bit of a break here and get going again.
Thanks, Scott. Robin?
Okay, we got Will Power and Elio. You guys drove your heart out, but boy, I tell you what, Pagenaud, a 4-stop race, made it work. Did you think halfway through the race, okay, I wish I had tried that strategy?
Well, last year I tried that, and didn't work. So, again, it's one of those things this year. So I'm not going to try that. I tried to make the car really good in the race conditions. But, you know, we have 4 fast cars, and we knew that somebody got to try something different. He picked that one. Good for him. He ended up winning the race. And but again, congrats to obviously Joseph. Great job. But I tell you, Hitachi, Chevy, Team Penske, great performance this year.
Will, we'll be right back. What about your race? It was just, I mean, you got close for a while and you dropped back. Was this particular segment bad?
No, just hanging and keeping a buffer between Joseph and Dixon, and you know that was our plan all day. So we were just going to do exactly what Joseph did and stay behind him, obviously, unless something else happened. But yeah, it's kind of a boring day, and it's what we needed for the team. You know, congrats to Joseph, fantastic season, his first season in the team, and to win the championship is a you know, very big achievement. So congrats to him.
All right. We hope this isn't your last full-time IndyCar race, but if it is, you've been a hell of a driver, got a lot of fans, and we'll still get to see you at the Indy 500.
I appreciate that. I have to say that a lot of people, especially the fans and the entire industry, you know, especially here at the Verizon IndyCar Series folks, even the drivers, it's been awesome. It was a great season. Let's see what's going to happen. But right now we're going to join the celebration with the championship, because this is the most important. I feel that I'm part of it. Will feels the same way. We all contribute, and even that I didn't take the championship, we work really hard together to bring this championship to Roger. So let's keep moving on now.
And you still don't want to trade one of those Indy 500 wins for a championship?
Heck no, man. I mean, I worked too darn hard to get those 3 Indies, and I'm going to get one more, so don't worry.
All right. Lee?
Well, it's really interesting, isn't it? And Elio has remained very resolute in we will see. We will see. Not coming out saying this has been my last IndyCar race, or it will be my last IndyCar race as far as a full-time competitor. And if indeed he does go away from the series, I'll feel a little sorry for him, because he hasn't been allowed that celebratory send-off. So anyway, we'll talk more about that in just a moment. We will check in with Jan Beeker. So much to talk about in the wake of the season finale.
And of course, that would be Simon Pagenaud, who has finally made his way here to victory lane. Let's not forget, there is one driver today that had a perfect day in Sonoma, and that would be Simon Pagenaud. It may not have necessarily been a perfect day for the championship, but you said you had to do something different, Simon. You went with a 4-stop strategy, and you had to work for this all day.
I'm exhausted. Yeah, that was as hard as I could drive for 85 laps non-stop. I can barely lift my arms right now, but I want to thank everybody on the DXC team today. It was a phenomenal performance, I think, all weekend. I want to congratulate Joseph, of course, and Team Penske. I think our team this weekend and the whole season showed how strong everybody is at Team Penske. Back-to-back champion. It's phenomenal. Great testament to a great team spirit, and I'm very happy for him. He deserves it. So we did what we had to do. We tried. We won the race. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. But it's a whole championship. You got to be strong on every races, and I guess Joseph was a little stronger this year. So we're going to come back, 13 points. Next year we'll come back and give him a head of a competition again.
Well, speaking of that kind of competition, the two of you were very close on your final pit stop. When you exited, you were ahead on cold tires. How difficult? You knew you had to protect, but you had to not make sure there was contact.
Yes, when I was in a preferred position, I was ahead. So like I always say, rather be hunted than the hunter. The tires came up to temperature really quick. Like I said, I was in so much confidence with the car all day that I was really pushing the envelope, and it just worked out. The tires came up to temp really quick, and I knew Joseph wasn't going to take too many risks either. So it was a little difficult with the back markers because we couldn't get up and going. But overall, what a beautiful day.
You got a round of applause today in the drivers' meeting for your representation of the champion and the way that you've conducted yourself all year. For Joseph Newgarden, I know it's tough now thinking about, oh, it's not you, but what do you pass on to your teammate about the job you've done and the responsibility of a champion?
Well, I think, obviously it's a very competitive championship. It's very rare to see domination for many, many years. I think, we came up short this year, but we defended really well. I'm so proud of my guys on the #1 car. I think we represented the #1 really well. But overall, it's a team effort. I'm very glad for him. I think he's going to be a tremendous champion. He's American, which is great for the sport. And, he's a kid. And I tell you what, he's very smart already.
Oh, here he is.
You did it, man. You did it. He did it.
Hey. Huge team effort, though, man. Thank you for all of that.
You got the ring, man.
Huge team effort. Hey, we both got one.
You heard it. He got the ring.
Simon Pagenaud, what an impressive effort, a grueling effort, telling Jan he could hardly lift his arms, and an amazing run to get his 10th career victory. Come up a little short on the championship on a day that is Newgarden's day. Joseph Newgarden, the new champion. Welcome back to IndyCar Live here on NBCSN, presented by Verizon. Getting ready to now, who we know who it is. It's time to crown a champion. Got a lot of post-race, post-season coverage coming up for you here on NBCSN as we welcome you back to Northern California as the shadows grow large on what has been a wonderful weekend. And moments ago, there is Sarah Fisher. And how about that at Sarah Fisher Hartman Racing, where they gave Joseph a home, and then he went transition from there to Ed Carpenter Racing. And that will mean a lot. That'll really resonate with Sarah because she gave Joseph such a wonderful opportunity.
And Tim Cindric calls the shots for Joseph Newgarden at Team Penske now. Tim, how have you seen Joseph's development with you specifically this season?
Honestly, I didn't know what to expect. I knew he was going to be competitive, but I felt it would take a little longer, honestly, to be sitting here as a champion today. But, these guys had a lot on the line, a lot to lose and a lot to gain, and they showed each other they could race each other clean. And, fortunately, we came out 1-2 at the end of the day. So a great effort by not only our team, but everybody at Chevrolet, everybody within the whole Verizon community and all the other sponsors that we have. It's huge for our organization and for our team because it was truly a team effort.
Today you had to rein Joseph in. He wanted to go there at the end. How do you bring a guy like that back in when he just wants to go?
Well, it's a lot easier to pull them back because if you have to push them forward, they never get to the front. But, you know, I guess all I can say is I'm glad he listened.
What can we expect from Team Penske next year? You got 4 of the same guys. Are you going to be just as powerful next year?
There's a lot of things that are changing, but, you know, I wouldn't trade the guys that we have. And anytime things change, I think it's one of our strengths. So.
What's changing?
What's changing? The body kits.
There we go. We'll see how they do with the new body kits next year, Jan.
And talking about championships, I think it's a great opportunity to talk to a 4-time champion in the series that had a tough day. 9th for you, but when you see across the way and you see a championship being celebrated, you've been there before. How tough is it to get that done?
Well, I mean, it's obviously a season-long effort, and you know, he had a great season, and so did his teammates. So it was a heck of a fight, and it's always tough to fight championships inside the team with your teammates. But you know, we obviously went hard for it and finished 1 and 2 in the championship. So that's up to them. Yeah.
At a place like Sonoma with no cautions throughout the whole event, how difficult physically was it today?
It wasn't so bad. The grip was very, very low, at least for me today. So it was a lot of slipping and sliding, and there wasn't much steering effort, or really it wasn't too strenuous on the neck. But you know, it was just a bad day for me, honestly. One of those races you just kind of want to forget about. But you know, we started 10th and finished 9th. Pretty much the destiny was settled right at the beginning when Ryan went off the track in front of us and kind of swerved around, and then we lost 2 or 3 positions and kind of, you know, stayed there and benefited from, I think, Sato and TK had some issues, but you know, nothing really to get excited about.
How encouraged are you now that this is the final race of the split aero kits? Everyone has the same aerodynamics next year. It looks like it'll be more racy. How much does that give you encouragement going forward?
Yeah, I think everybody's looking forward to, you know, something different. You know, obviously there won't be any excuses next year, so it's going to be interesting. Just a little sad that they kind of the series is ending it a little bit to Penske and you know, certain other teams that are getting, you know, all sorts of test days during the off season before we all get the aero kit. But it is what it is. So we'll have to wait to get a taste of it.
All right. Well, the off season banter has begun already. Lee.
And just terrific to see Sebastian Bourdais back at the track after that huge accident in Indy. Of course, he started the season with the first victory of the season, and look forward to seeing Sebastian next year as we take a look at the unofficial standings in the championship. In the end, 13 points was the difference between Joseph Newgarden and Simon Pagenaud. Dixon slipped, as Katie mentioned a little earlier, dropped to 3rd in the overall standings. What do you think as you look further down, because we've heaped so much spotlight and praise on the Championship 5, you look a little further down, Graham Rahal, I think he's got plenty of reason to be pleased with 6.
I think he does, and I think I look at 7th, 8th, and 9th with Rossi Sato and Hunter Ray. Andretti Autosport cars, a lot's been made of maybe Chevy's dominance on the aero kits, especially at places like Sonoma or the short ovals. Next year, that all goes out the window. It's an all-new spec unified body kit, and I expect that Andretti team to really bring the fight to Penske and Ganassi.
Guys looking for new horizons, Sato moving and other people moving around, so it's going to be an interesting year next year.
And there is the captain with his race winner, Simon Pagenaud. The celebrations will continue. We're far from done here in Sonoma. You're watching IndyCar Live, brought to you by Verizon. The best network and the best unlimited. Lovely live shot of downtown San Francisco. About 35-40 minutes drive from where we are here at Sonoma Raceway. Taking a look at the results of the race, and of course it is a full Penske podium with Scott Dixon the closest to challenge there. I really enjoyed watching the racing today with Graham Rahal, Marco Andretti late in the race between Hunter Ray as well. That was an interesting battle, and Connor Daly bringing home a top 10 to round the season out. That's going to help his chances, and there's a bit of an arm wrestle between Connor Daly and Carlos Munoz, who does AJ Foyt Racing keep for next year?
I think the way Connor Daly finished off this season, especially his oval race at St. Louis where he came home 5th and he was strong at the end, that'll give AJ Foyt a lot to think about over the next couple of weeks.
Solid finish today for Andretti. Good shot in the arm for him. And I heard Bourdais say it was a bad day, but it was a lot better day than sitting on the couch with a broken pelvis.
For sure,
So,
for sure. And reliving the winners of 2017, and what a diverse group. 10 different winners this year. That's pretty impressive. The record is 11 in a season, so got close this year.
Tell you what, it was great, Townsend, to see the parity between Honda and Chevy. Honda really stepped up to the plate this year, got new drivers and Ganassi team, and really stepped up their performance and gave Chevy a battle all year.
I think Rossi will factor heavily. He also finished the season strong, but I love how Newgarden had the most wins in the season. Fitting for the champion to absolutely go for it all year long.
All right, time to check in with Katie Hagen. Katie?
And Brian Campy is Joseph Newgarden's engineer. And Brian, you've been in motorsports as a race engineer for 17 years. This is your very first championship. What took so long?
I guess I had to find the right driver. You know, Joseph's been great. It's our first year working together, and to win the championship and all the races we won was beyond my wildest dreams. So it's just been great.
It's a pretty spectacular feat to win a championship in your first season with a new team, as well as a brand new engineer. How have you seen your relationship with Joseph progress over 17 races?
Oh, it's been great. When we first came in, we were kind of worried, okay, how are we going to do this? What are our setups going to look like? And we just said, let's just be fast. If we just worry and do things that make us fast, then the rest will take care of itself. And we kind of had a rough pass through the middle part of the season, and we kind of took the mantra, it takes, 3 mistakes to crash a plane. If we can minimize our mistakes, we can do a great job. We came out of the lead at Mid-Ohio, and we just said, okay, just keep doing what we've been doing, and it works.
Simon Pagenaud has had his chance to celebrate. I'm going to let Brian Campy go because now it's Joseph Newgarden's chance.
Nice story. Really nice story. And look, there's just a portion of the team. And speaking with Brian Campy there about tenure and time, and Matt Johnson, who was on the front right this year, normally on Will Power's car, has seen a lot of motorsport and a lot of championships in his time. So it's a holistic Penske celebration. Race win, championship win, and that championship ceremony is coming up not too far away. Stick around. That's what it's all about, the Astor Cup, and getting your name on it next to the legends of the sport, and that is mission accomplished today for Joseph Newgarden of Team Penske. We told you that the championship ceremony was not too far away. It is upon us right now, and here is our man, Kevin Lee. Kev?
Sonoma Raceway, please direct your attention to the stage right across from the main grandstand. My name is Kevin Lee from NBCSN, and welcome to the 2017 Verizon IndyCar Series Championship Celebration. This is the Astor Cup. We will present it coming up in just a few moments. Before we greet our champion once again, let's also deal with some other very important awards. For the 6th consecutive season, Chevrolet has won the Manufacturers Championship with 10 wins this season. Let's bring up Jim Campbell from Chevrolet, who's here with us. Jim, congratulations.
Hey, thank you. First, Simon, congratulations on that win. Joseph on the championship, amazing. And to Team Penske, Ed Carpenter Racing, AJ Foyt Racing, thank you and all of our technical partners for putting the valuable points on the board to win this championship for a 6th time. And Mark Miles, thank you for allowing us to compete in this series. We love it.
Mark Miles is the CEO of IndyCar. He's going to present the trophy, but first, I want to get a few words from Mark about this fantastic season we saw this year.
Yeah, well, everybody here knows it was a fantastic season with Verizon and Chevy and Honda and Dallara and Firestone. We had great racing every week. We had great fans, great crowds at all of our races, and now we have a new champion who has an unbelievably bright future for years to come.
I'll step out of the way for pictures for just a moment while you present the hardware And also want to recognize Mark Kent and Terry Dolan from Chevrolet, who are also here. Big round of applause for Chevrolet. Congratulations, and thanks to Honda as well for their participation in the Verizon IndyCar Series. It was a great battle this season. We really had a lot of parity. This is the best battle we had among manufacturers in quite some time, and it's going to be all different in 2018. All right, now let's move on to the next part. The Astor Cup, I mentioned it. This is over 100 years old, and on the base of this, the name of every champion in IndyCar, whether it be AAA, USAC, Kart, Champ Car, or the Verizon IndyCar Series, they're all represented right here. The driver and also the team owner will get a mini version of this coming up later on. But this goes all the way back to Carl Fisher and others from over 100 years ago. And let's bring down from the back our champion, the man of the hour, the young American from Tennessee, Joseph Newgarden. Let's talk again. And we talked in Victory Lane on NBCSN about your family and how much they've meant. I want to give you a chance to speak about some of the other people that have helped you along the way.
First off, I'm sorry. I feel a little silly like a boxer wearing this thing on me, but they gave it to me, so why not, right? You know, you only get one opportunity to do it. So I'm so proud of Team Penske, all my guys. Really everyone across all 4 cars. We have the coolest unit I've ever worked with. They all work together. They all win this championship together. So it's not just the 2-car guys. It's every single car at Team Penske that makes this happen. So proud of everyone at the factory, everyone that works in these race cars. I haven't slept in 2 weeks, to be honest with you. I told everyone I did sleep, but I haven't, and I'm so happy to be over with this thing now and that we got the championship.
So were you fibbing a little bit when you weren't all that nervous?
I mean, I was convincing myself that I wasn't nervous. You know, I just said to myself, it's another race. I'm not nervous, but I was very nervous this entire week. I feel like I've had dreams every night of a different person I'm racing, and it's just not gone away. My girlfriend's wanted to kick me out of bed every night because I'm tossing and turning, so I'm happy this is over with. I feel like I'm going to sleep well this winter now.
Your Team Penske crew is right below us here. You had 3 pit stops all under 8 seconds today.
Dude, these guys are rock stars. Every single one of them. Like I said, it's not just the 2-car guys. I love the 2-car guys, but it's every single car that we put on the racetrack. Every single crew that comes with Team Penske. They work on all these race cars. I mean, Team Penske is different in the way they operate, so it's a huge team effort. Thank you to Chevrolet. They gave us the performance we needed today. Didn't have any hiccups coming out of the pits. All of our partners. You know, I think the coolest thing for me is we've had Verizon on this car a couple times this year, not being able to get in the podium or victory lane with them. They've done so much with Verizon to support this series and give fans access, and to have them on the car to win the championship with us is so fitting. So I'm so excited to have those guys with us this weekend.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Stay here.
Hey, thank you to all the fans too. You have no idea. We have the best fans in racing, I think. I know a lot of people say that in every sport, but I'm telling you, our support is unbelievable. I feel like IndyCar has been going up and up for the last 5 years, and it's because of what everyone's been doing to support us. So thank you guys for tuning in, seeing this excitement. We're going to try and make it better and better. I can't wait for the new 2018 IndyCar, so I hope you guys are tuning in next year.
All right, Stretch, we've got something to lift in a moment, but I want to also bring up Roger Penske, the man that gave you this opportunity. Every race car driver dreams of racing for the captain. What did you see in this young man?
Well, I think I saw a superstar, really. When we competed against him with Sarah Fisher and certainly Tony's team, you could see the quality of the young man. We talked to him early on in his career, but he's a journeyman. You know, he came up through go-karts. His family worked with him, and he worked hard, and we had the opportunity to bring him on our team. And I would say this, he really helped galvanize all 4 of our drivers. And, you know, we sat down today before the race, all 4 of them. We talked about scenarios, and I can tell you, every one of these guys executed the way we talked about it. And obviously to see Simon in the winner's circle and see Joseph win the championship. It's a credit to our sponsors, great for Verizon, Chevrolet, and all the sponsors, Hitachi, and certainly the people that DXC, getting them in the winner's circle was great. And John Menard, I know, is beside himself. So all these folks have helped us throughout the season. But it's the people down at our race shop that make the difference. It's not the sponsorship, it's the people. So I want to thank all you guys. You're all champions, and thank you very much.
Congratulations to Roger Penske on number 15. From Verizon, the CEO and chairman, this is Lowell McAdam. And Mark, come on up again in just a moment. But Lowell, I want to give you a chance to speak.
Okay, well, Mark, I'd like to congratulate you on another great Verizon IndyCar season. And Roger, this is our 9th year being associated with Team Penske, and we couldn't be prouder. Joseph, your first year with Team Penske, and we love the fact that you took the Hum by Verizon car to the championship. So congratulations. We can't wait to see what you do next year.
And thanks to Verizon for all that they do. All right, it's time now. Mark, Lowell, Joseph, get over there. Roger. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2017 Verizon IndyCar Series champion from Team Penske, Joseph Newgarden. Now, we still have one more moment. Let's also please welcome Kurt Bruns from Jostens. Joseph, we have something that you can take home with you right now. This is your championship ring. Congratulations to all. His 100th IndyCar start delivered Joseph Newgarden the championship. We've had a fantastic season. Thank you for watching on NBCSN, and we cannot wait for 2018.
Terrific to see that sincere, genuine smile and relief, and revealing to all of us just how nervous he really was over the past couple of weeks after what happened at Watkins Glen with the unfortunate accident. But to come back so strong this weekend when it mattered most. This young American is going to be around for a long time, and perhaps this is just the first of many titles to come. Back at Sonoma Raceway as the celebrations continue for Joseph Newgarden, the champion of the Verizon IndyCar Series for 2017. And this is stuff that he could have only dreamed about not that long ago. And it's all played out here in Northern California. And it's not just a celebration for Joseph and Team Penske, but the whole Newgarden family. Katie?
Absolutely. I'm here with Joey, Tina, his parents, his girlfriend Ashley, sister Christina. Joey, when did you think that your son may possibly be an IndyCar champion?
25 minutes ago.
When was it that long ago?
No, he's always been going to be a champion, and we knew it from the get-go, and we're just all proud as can be of him, and that's all we can really say.
Ashley, Joseph referenced you in his Champions interview about you wanting to kick him out of bed at night. What's this year been like for you guys?
He has this thing where he shakes his feet a lot when he gets nervous. So for the past 3 races, he's just been kicking his feet, and it wakes me up. So it'll be nice to have a good night's sleep for all of us. No, it's been amazing. He's been so motivated, and it's just a long time coming. So it's really sweet for all of us to be here to experience it too.
And Tina, to see your son driving a Verizon IndyCar, what's it like for you when he's out on the track?
I just don't breathe, and I pray a lot. So, but I know that this is what he wants to do. So I know he's happy.
Christina, I got to ask you, where's the party tonight now?
I guess wherever Joseph wants to be. I'll probably be in the one in the corner crying personally, but.
All right, lots of tears over here, but I'm sure happy tears, guys. Congratulations.
And it just reiterates what we were talking about before, boys. It's not just the journey for the driver or the engineer or the team owner. It's a full journey for everybody associated with that campaign. And terrific stuff. Really nice people, great family. And the celebrations will be big tonight for sure. In the end, it was 13 points. So Joseph not only grew it from 3 to 4 yesterday with the pole position, but then in the end did it comfortably. Pagenaud did everything he could, but came up a little short, but a massive day for Joseph Newgarden and Team Penske. Championship celebrations continue here at Sonoma Raceway, and hey, it's all about teamwork, and what a team Roger Penske has assembled, with all 4 cars under the Team Penske umbrella being in title contention. Of course, there could have only been one winner, and yes, he was the favourite, Joseph Newgarden, coming in, but there were so many points, permutations and possibilities. In the end, it was very simple. It was very simplistic, coming home 13 points ahead of today's race winner and his teammate Simon Pagenaud. It really was a Penske fest here in California, because Scott Dixon from Chip Ganassi Racing did everything he could, but just didn't have enough. And it's a pretty tough fight, because 4 against 1 is not exactly a fair fight, but Dixon did everything that he could. What's your takeaway from today when you look at the big picture of today's race?
Well, I think I look at today's race and I look at the entire season. I mean, what more could you want? 10 winners, an underdog winner at the Indy 500 with Takuma Sato, a young American champion who's done everything right in the building blocks to get to this point in the sport. So for me, it's the perfect IndyCar season, and it just makes me think I can't wait until we get to the start of 2018.
Paul?
You know, I think for me, even at the end of the championship, there's still 4 guys that are within 44 points, and the whole season, it's seesawed back and forth between 5 or 6 guys trading the lead in the championship, and there was really no clear-cut winner until the end of the day, until the last lap. So amazing, amazing championship, and I can't wait till next year. New car, new bodywork, new cars, a lot of change. Guys are going to do their homework over the winter. It's going to be amazing 2018.
And somebody who found out firsthand just how competitive and how tough this Verizon IndyCar Series Championship really is. It's 2-time Formula One world champion Fernando Alonso. And let's not forget about Alonso coming to the Indianapolis 500 this May. And Fernando did everything right. You said Joseph did everything right. Fernando did everything right. But his takeaway when he went back to Europe and was quizzed by a lot of colleagues, he said, hey, there's a tough series over there. Those guys can drive.
And I think not only is the competition tough, but you could tell by Fernando Alonso's smile, this is the best racing in the world, wheel to wheel.
Fun too, fun, right? Fun,
absolutely, and we don't know, he might come here. We don't know yet, so it'll be a lot of fun over the off season.
2017 Verizon IndyCar Series has given us so much to talk about, but that's the guy. He's got the ring, the championship ring, Joseph Newgarden. You're watching IndyCar Live, brought to you by Verizon, the best network and the best unlimited. It's time, just about time to wrap things up from Sonoma and the end of the Verizon IndyCar Series. Want to remind you that there's an encore presentation of the Singapore F1 Grand Prix coming up when we are done here. And then there's a Red Bull Air Race, and that's from Germany. That's a little later tonight at 11:30 p.m. Eastern. It's been a huge weekend of motorsport, that's for sure. It's been a huge year of Verizon IndyCar Series action, and on behalf of our entire production team, because there are so many people you don't see behind the scenes that bring you all of the images and all of the coverage. On behalf of all of us, it's been an incredible privilege, and especially when you have a fascinating and an exciting and an interesting season like this, and it all gets capped off with a champion like Joseph Newgarden. The beautiful Astor Cup. It displays proudly the names that have been the best in IndyCar Series history. To have your name on there is sometimes a dream. Well, that dream today has become a reality for Joseph Newgarden, the 26-year-old from Hendersonville, Tennessee. He showed how bold he could be at times throughout this season, and on occasions like today, showed us just how smart and calm he can be in the height of a race win that didn't come about, but it was for the better. It was for the bigger picture of a championship. And Joseph Newgarden's no longer knocking on the door. He kicked it in and entered the Champions Club. The Verizon P1 Pole Award in qualifying didn't just give Joseph Newgarden extra motivation, it gave him an extra bonus point coming into the race on Sunday. He was in a tight tussle for the lead with his Team Penske teammate Simon Pagenaud, who was on a very different strategy, and these two would go at it late in the race with Newgarden in attack mode, trying to win the race and the championship all on the same day. It wouldn't turn out that way. Simon Pagenaud got his 10th career win, but Joseph Newgarden got his first Verizon IndyCar Series championship, the first American to win it in 5 years since Ryan Hunter-Reay. It's the third championship in 4 years for Roger Penske, the 15th overall for Team Penske.